What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. As you figured out by now, we have teamed up with Racers 360 for the 2020 season, and we are really excited about it. I've been a big fan of Dion and the coaching that he does since we first met. I've been using it quite a bit. I use their track breakdowns for any time I go to a new track. I talk to Dion when I can about ways I can improve. Any chance that I can to get better on track, I try to take advantage of it. So obviously this partnership is a little self-serving because I get to build that relationship with Dion and then hopefully get better on track as well. But I've been using it all the time. The SCCA Time Trials National Tour that came through Heartland Park was the event that I used it probably the most last year. Before the event started, Dion put out the video that did the track breakdown and walked us through ways that you could improve, where you could pick up time. And I watched it to the point where I knew every corner before I got there. And it was raining and wet, and I was on slicks. So I was slipping aside and didn't really get a chance to actually put a real lap down. But once the track dried, I was able to improve my time in such a way that I went to the second fastest lap of the event. It was such an improvement that the rest of the weekend I was called the cheater and that the transponder failed. There's no way I put down that time. That everyone just said it was bullshit. So if you want to improve your times in such a way that the rest of the field gets to call you a cheater, Racers 360 is the way to do it. I mean, putting up an authentic time that's even leaps and bounds better than what you ever expected you could put down just shows the investment in this coaching is more than worth it. I'm a big fan of Dion. I'm a big fan of Racers 360. I wouldn't partner with them if I didn't believe in what they were doing. So we're doing a 7-day free trial for our listeners, but that really wasn't, in my opinion, that wasn't good enough to get people in the door. So I wanted to give you guys an incentive, give our listeners something back. So it's a 10% discount now. So if you go to the description of the show, just click on that, sign up, 10% off, and it's exclusive to our listeners, but that doesn't go out to everybody. We want you guys to get better on track. If you're serious about racing, Racers 360 is serious about making you improve. So check it out. I want to hear some testimonials this summer about our listeners that have improved. Welcome back to 10 Cents Podcast. I am Robert with my co-host Adam.
Hi.
And we have Dusty Nixon on the phone.
Hey, what's up, guys?
We spent a weekend in Texas, man. Well, I did. You always spend your weekends in Texas, I guess. That's not so exciting for you, is it?
Yeah, sometimes I spend my weekends other places, but yeah.
That's fair.
Generally to do the same thing that we were doing, which was watching race cars. So
we were, when I left my house, so we went to Super Lap Battle this weekend.
Yeah.
If nobody knows that. Probably figured that out based on the title that I assume Robbie gave the show. But so when I left my house Friday morning, it was -5 without the wind chill.
Yeah, huh?
So, like,
it was nice.
Yeah, and I looked at Austin, and it was like 55 degrees. I was like, fuck yes.
It's a nice
It's going to be so good. Sunday was almost 80.
Good grief.
I was dying. It was the best.
That'd be great.
It was so good. No, like dying in the best way possible.
Yeah, happy.
Yeah.
So as I said before you came down, what does that little sign in front of the number mean? I don't ever see that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, the little negative
sign?
Little
negative, the little dash.
Yeah.
You didn't know what that meant.
Not familiar with that.
So we're driving south, right?
Yeah, 35.
And we're in Oklahoma. I think we were north of Oklahoma City. And it was like 40-ish degrees at that point. And we stop at this random exit. I don't remember what it was, but there happened to be a Casey's there. So, we're from Iowa.
Yeah, you got to stop.
Right. If we're going to stop somewhere and there is a Casey's, that's where we're going to stop.
Yeah, no, I don't.
It is what it is.
I get it.
So we stopped there. We filled up with gas, and there was a KFC Taco Bell thing across the street, right?
Those are the best.
All right, cool. We'll just eat some lunch there real quick, and then we'll hit the road, Jack, and we'll carry on our merry way. When we hop out of the car, I'm like, man, it's fucking gorgeous out here, right? Like, it's 45 degrees. Like, we're out there in T-shirts. Like,
yeah.
I'm not even wearing my sweatshirt at this point. And we march into this restaurant, and apparently they don't have a heater in that building.
What?
and like all of the crew is like
Bundled.
bundled down, and it was maybe 50 degrees in there. I mean, it was a little on the chilly side.
chilly
but
for
we're
inside.
like, it's pretty sweet in here still. Like, this is great, you know. But they only had bottled water and tea because apparently it got cold enough the night before that they froze a water line, and so their pop machine didn't work.
Oh, dang.
And I was like, what? What sort of wild place is this?
All our stuff has to withstand that. Most of the year.
It wasn't even that cold.
So I have a question based on your terrible luck with fast food during your Austin trip last year. Is this like a daily thing, or is this just whenever you're on road trips?
Well,
A little bit of both.
that being stated, the rest of the weekend went pretty well, except for our return trip. We stopped at a casino, and it took way too long for me to get my mediocre steak that I paid way too much for. But other
Mediocre
than that,
food at a casino, weird.
so we have a few traditions. It's our second year, so by now we have traditions.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
One of those is going slightly above the speed limit in certain parts of Oklahoma. We're not going to talk about it.
I mean, all of the parts of
no,
Oklahoma?
well, just certain parts, because
Is that because you want to get through Oklahoma as
no,
fast
it's
as
because
possible?
people are stupid and Josh gets frustrated.
I get it.
Is really what it boils down to. And then our new tradition is going to that barbecue joint.
Yes,
Which barbecue joint?
definitely.
Was it Black's? Is that what that was
Yeah.
called?
Yeah, Black's Barbecue. So Lockhart, Texas is about 20 minutes outside of Austin, and it's known as like I think the term is the cradle of Texas barbecue. So there's like 5 or 6 different restaurants down there, and it's just known as the place to go to get that true Texas barbecue experience.
So we
So
leave
then-
there. We leave the track, and all the Grid Life guys are there. And Jabay said, "Hey, this is where we're going. If you guys want to come eat with us, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
of
sure, that
course.
sounds great, you know." And so I hopped in with Dusty, and we're driving down there. He's like, "Man, Google says this place is pretty busy right now." Like, well, you know, we'll see how it is.
We know a guy.
We get there, there's like 12 people in there. Like, the place was fucking empty, and I was like, "This is the greatest. I could live here."
Yeah. If this is busy,
And then apparently, Midwest, like, passive aggressive being nice is still a thing in some parts of Texas, because we were there for almost an hour after quitting time, or after the place shut down, and nobody said a word to us. We didn't realize the place had shut down. Like, apparently at some point in time the music shut off, but none of us noticed it.
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I don't-
drinks were still being purchased. So.
Yeah, they sold us beer after the store like, they didn't stop taking our money.
Well, I guess they wouldn't have been too mad about it then, as long as
Yeah.
you're still buying shit.
Yeah, they were cleaning stuff up like in the rest of the place. It's not like we were inconveniencing them terribly.
Yeah, and if you're not
But-
ordering food again.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, sir. The kitchen's been closed for an hour and a half.
Well, it's a
Get out.
barbecue joint. They're
It's a
already
barbecue
making
place, but-
tomorrow's food. It's
Yeah,
fine.
that stuff had been sitting there since about 2:00 this afternoon, probably, but it was still very good.
Oh, so good. Very good. That's our other new tradition.
I like it. That's a
Going
good.
there.
That's a good tradition to have.
Place is delicious, and it was not at all like unreasonably priced.
And it's open 8 days a week.
Oh man, look at that.
Well, that's what it says.
Yeah, I called that out on the sign as we were walking across
Yeah.
the street to get up there to it. So.
So, should we do normal parts of the show before we dive into this, or should we
Yeah.
do this like we're supposed to? You
No,
know,
let's try it.
with
Let's
like
try it.
segments and structure and whatnot.
People are here because they want our structure,
Our
consistency.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
Consistency is key.
People don't like change.
That's
Hey, so
what I'm told.
Now that I'm a veteran of the Truck Show podcast, I expect like a full production, like music open, whole 9 yards.
We did that.
We
already.
got to come up with really bad nicknames for each other. I think one of them called himself Lightning.
Lightning.
Wasn't that
Lightning, and then I don't remember what the other guy's name is.
it? Lightning.
I don't want to be lightning.
So apparently, I think Lightning is like a grizzled veteran of the LA radio scene. So
Yeah, I think so too.
the whole thing is just done as a like straight up FM morning show type vibe.
But like, since they're not being held to any sort of FCC standard or
So it's closer to the Jason Ellis
or
show?
trying. Well, no, I don't know about that, but they're also trying not to, or they're not trying to appease a mass market.
Right.
It's even worse. It's even more over the top.
I can appreciate that.
So, should we do Adam's opener?
Presented by Factory Fabrication.
Boom. So I came across this when I was searching for the news. There's this crazy person who is driving from Argentina, which is way down south.
That's the bottom.
It's basically the bottom, all the way to Alaska.
That's a long drive.
It's a long drive in anything, Robbie.
What's he driving in?
What was it, a 51?
Yes.
Ford
Wrong.
pick-em-up truck.
Bro.
A Chevrolet
Thank you.
pick-em-up truck.
1951 Chevy pickup.
So I wanted to talk
Now I'm
about
on
this.
board. If you said Ford, I'm not on board, but Chevy, I'm okay.
Well, Dustin is the resident old truck expert.
Yes, yeah.
He's got an old truck.
That I didn't realize he actually had.
For the
the
longest
whole
time,
time.
I never understood what the silver C10.
What the hell is Silver C10? He's got a
name was.
Camaro.
He's got a Camaro and a 350Z,
Only one is silver.
and it's not a C10. But apparently, he does have it.
He owns a C10 as well.
I've seen pictures of it
I saw a picture once.
being worked on in some capacity.
So it's in about 1,000 pieces right now, but yeah.
We've all done
Yeah, that sounds about right.
that. So, I don't know where I wanted to take this. I just like. Does it say how many miles? Is this something silly?
Like 1 million?
Yeah, like a million's probably about right.
Like,
Through some of like the most wild and uninhabited bullshit that this world has to offer.
there's not exactly an interstate starting in Argentina and finishing in Alaska.
No. The Amazon rainforest has a funny way of making things difficult when traversing south to north across South America. And if the rainforest doesn't
there's a lot
get
of
you,
mountains between here and there.
if the rainforest doesn't get you, the drug runners in Mexico will.
Yes. Yeah, I think they'll be fine until they hit like the Latin America part, like the Mexico, Colombia
I
area.
don't think they'll be fine through the jungle.
They'll be fine in the jungle.
That's not like any sort of real capable vehicle.
They're not four-wheeling over everything. There's roads.
Are there?
Yes, there's roads.
Are these things posing as roads?
Yes.
That's not a good situation for a 1951 Chevrolet.
60,000 kilometers. Oh, wait, that's a different trip. Because that one went to New York.
So, I can't imagine wanting to do this. Like, I have made it very clear that I am not the creature comfort in my vehicle guy.
Yeah.
I don't really get it. I don't feel the need to be pampered and shuttled about on a pillowy cushion of air all the time.
It's nice.
I get it. It's nice, but I don't need it.
Yes.
Like, it's not something that but this might be a little too far the other way.
Did they have air conditioning in 1951?
They might have had one of those things that just hangs on the window.
Yeah, or like it just blows air at your crotch.
Well, there's companies that make direct fits for it, but I don't know how, like,
Curious if he even did that.
I don't know how, like, true to the game he's being on it. I mean,
If
it
that's an
looks stock.
If that's an all original 51 Chevy, that's not far removed from doing that in your Scout.
Well, but then that would be like 6-volt electronics and a points distributor and really shitty single barrel carburetor and just like that would be the worst.
Or the best. 'Cause he can't have a deadline. It's got to be, we'll get there when we get there.
So I talked to Abe a little bit this weekend about one lap because
Yeah.
Abe is a one lap veteran,
Yes.
and also the world's largest one lap nerd. And one of these
That's
days, before you do one lap, we're going to have him on the show to talk about it,
Perfect.
to get a kind of another perspective for you.
Sounds
But
good.
Abe made the statement that he thinks that the only real true way to experience one lap is in kind of a shitty car that will break down.
Oh.
And as the guy who owns lots of kind of shitty cars that will break down, I can't disagree more.
That's the opposite of what Andy Hollis says.
I couldn't disagree more.
I listened to Andy Hollis's Speed Secrets episode again just because I'm still excited about it.
Right.
But he's just like, if you're gonna do it for the first time, don't try to win. Just try to finish and have a car that you can trust the whole way.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that
100%.
makes perfect sense.
I don't feel like that truck is that vehicle.
That is not the vehicle for your trip from Argentina to Alaska.
Not if you just want to do it. Like you're going to be fighting all sorts of bullshit.
Did he say
with it.
why he was doing it in this truck? Just because he had it?
I don't know. It sounded to me like he'd done some other like wild adventure drives.
Is he doing this alone?
This is a podcast or like a full show topic that you and I will have to cover at some point. It's coming up with
What's that?
Coming up with adventure drives that we would like to do.
Yeah,
like a vehicle and a route, like kind of like what we did with the Petrolhead vacations.
Yeah.
This is something we'll definitely have to do at some point.
I think that's fair.
But I don't think I'd pick that.
No,
but I'm proud of him for it.
It's going to take him twice as long. He's going to spend twice as much.
Where does the money come from? That's
advertisers through his vlog.
Well, like that might pay for the trip, but what like pays for all of the things that you didn't do while you were like? You can't just call up the bank and be like, "Hey guys, like, bro, I'm going to drive from Argentina to Alaska over the next 3 months, so like, just don't expect a mortgage."
I don't think this guy owns a house. I think the house is sold for this type of trip.
I think there's a certain level of wealth you have to attain before you become, I'm going to take off for 6 months to do an adventure across multiple continents guy.
Or you have to be comfortable enough in a certain level of poverty.
Or that.
Neither of those situations do I feel like I fit into.
No, most people don't. Because you have to be the head in the clouds type of person that's like, we'll figure it out, man. We have $500 and 10,000 miles to go.
I don't feel comfortable with that.
We'll rely on the kindness of strangers.
That's always done me well.
But I'm a country that has a native language that I do not speak.
Well, we don't know that.
We got translators. That's fine.
He might speak Spanish, Portuguese. Well, they speak Spanish in Mexico.
You need to be able to speak several languages moving all the way through South America.
Yeah, because you would start with Portuguese and work your way to Spanish, then to English.
Well, and even once he gets here, he's going to have to be able to speak
Texan English, and then English.
And then English, and then... I don't know which end of Canada is French. I think that's the other side.
The other
right?
end.
Okay,
yeah.
he might be all right then.
Yeah. There's not a lot of people on that side of Canada.
That's true.
You'll need to know how to talk to trappers and get away from bears.
Maybe.
Yeah,
you might have to learn how to talk to bears.
Yeah,
you'll have to learn how to speak to the ice road truckers on the CB. That's the biggest thing.
Does he have a CB? He should. Does this thing have cruise control?
Yeah, absolutely, Robbie.
Okay.
He'll be able to just set it at 60 and just drive right through the rainforest.
Well, no, I'm talking like once he gets to America.
No
AC and no cruise control. But he's got a little topper that I don't think that really came with that originally.
No, that's where he sleeps.
That's a nice that's a nice little after thing.
Well, you gotta sleep somewhere.
This is the type of person.
This
is the type of person that owns a tiny home. It's that same person.
I think that is his
cruise control on a control on a 51 Chevy is taking a pair of vice grips onto the Stromberg and just like catching the cable just right.
Yeah.
Hey, if it works.
Varying sizes of rocks to set on the gas pedal.
Yep.
That's the 60 rock. Don't do that one right now.
That's way too fast right now. Calm down. You got to have the 3 mile an hour rock so you can get out and push.
I'm not gonna lie. I've always been kind of jealous of those people that could just kind of hop in the car and go and be comfortable with the fact that they're not working for 3 months, no income, just every money, all the pennies that they've saved are now going to be gone. I could never do that, but I've always kind of appreciated the people that could.
I'm not convinced he's saved.
Or not, either way, being that confident in their plan and somehow the money's going to find its way there. And I mean, fuck a 401k, but still,
YOLO.
But yeah, I mean, I knew, I think they were German, but they would basically move somewhere, work for 6 months, and then travel for 6 months, and like that's where their money went. That was their thing, or like they would travel 2 months or whatever, and it was just they'd go and stay in Dubai for 2 months and just see the whole world. I guess it's a totally different culture thing, but
That would be cool. Like, it'd be fun.
like I'm fully capable of doing that. I won't. I have all these other things I want to do. But
Right.
like I look at it and go, I'm kind of envious. Like that'd be cool.
It'd be freeing.
Just yes, that's a great word.
Oh, it'd be so good.
Just pack up shop, lock the doors to your house, and
Way
leave for
less
2 months.
responsibility. I just
Yeah.
feel like it would
Just be a transient for a
it
couple
would
of
be
months.
anxiety-inducing for me.
Oh no way. If I didn't, well, I mean, granted, I wouldn't have to have a house, or if I wasn't into race cars, I could totally see myself doing that.
I suppose.
So those people are not worried about bleeding their brakes for next track event,
No, they're not.
Maybe they should be.
or whether they should go with 3.5 or 3 degrees of camber.
Do I need a 305 that's short or a 285 that's tall? These are the first world problems that people have to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, the first world part of that was the fact that the sequential was the issue.
Guys, we're jumping around here.
We'll talk about it shortly. So, I don't know. I applaud the guy for doing
I do.
it.
I really do.
Like, I'm sure it'd be fun. I'll bet he'd be fun to talk to on the show.
Yeah,
you know?
he should take a detour through Iowa.
Do you remember?
Sit in my basement.
Do you remember talking about the Mongol rally where they drive from like London to Mongolia
I
and they
think
have
so.
to do it in cars that have a less than 2 liter or a 2 liter or less engine?
I think so. I think we've talked about it on the show.
We talked. I know we did a news article because someone was going to do it in a Leaf, and we were just like, "There's some real logistic issues with that idea." Well, I found a podcast that somebody had done, like Far From Home or something like that.
That sounds right.
He did the Mongol rally, and he did like it's very NPR style. He did a lot of recording while he was in it, and then it was a lot of like post editing. But it was really well done, and it was very interesting. But I don't understand it, man. Like they weren't car people.
Right.
They didn't like. I don't know that they could change their own oil. And they went and bought like a 150,000-mile Nissan Micra and decided we were going to drive it across all of Europe and Asia. What could possibly go wrong?
We'll rely on the kindness of strangers to fix that.
Mind-boggling.
No, I would feel like I need an entire trailer of parts, so when I break down, I don't have to rely on anybody.
Right.
Totally different mindset.
So, it'd be cool. It'd be fun. It's just not for me.
Robbie's just trapped on the side of the road for a month because he won't ask anyone for help.
Do you need help? No, I got it. I got the.
No.
I was just about to start it up and drive away.
I got the wrench here. Just go, sir. You've been out here all day. It's fine.
I wouldn't want to inconvenience you.
It's
You
true.
were out here last week. You were out here in February.
I appreciate the sandwich,
The
but just
monsoon
go.
season's coming. You can't be here, man. It's going to be a lake.
There's not a lot of traffic here. It's fine. Just go around me. I got the flares. It's fine.
Jesus. So, should we talk about Super Lap?
What's a super lap? Is it fast?
No,
Oh.
it's not as fast as it was last year.
Oh shit.
'Cause everybody broke
Oh, I did see that. That is sad.
or didn't make it at all. So,
Didn't make it there at all. Is what you're saying?
well, a couple of the heavy hitters from last year weren't there this year. Notable missing is Mr. Houghton and his car, his
He was
time
there.
attack car. He was there in his other car, but his time attack car, the one I care about, was not there. He has assured me that we haven't lost him yet.
No, that car is doing a dramatically redone.
Well, so I did a couple of slip angle shows this weekend with Jabe and Abe and the crew, and we talked to Houghton for a little while, and I don't remember if it was on the show or before or after. Now I don't even remember, but I said something about, something to the effect of, well, I'm a little afraid we've lost you, because like I'm the time attack nerd, and
You're
like I'm a little afraid that you're gone. And he goes, oh no, you don't have to worry about that. He goes, there's nothing I can't wait for more than ripping that stick on 900 horsepower and kicking some ass in that car. Like,
that's right at you
that's
to
the
have.
best news I've heard all day.
Well, did you notice that
You know.
the license plate of his GLTC car
Oh,
is his
yeah.
time attack car?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Super cocky. So
Yeah, he can't wait to rip the stick on a LMP1 prototype with an Acura Integra VIN tag on it.
It's a pretty
I
accurate way of
talked to
putting
him
it.
again. I don't remember if it was on or off the recording, so I'm just going to leave it and not say too much about it. And you'll just have to listen to Slip Angle and see if he talks about it. But I heard about some of the things that are going on with that car, and it's going to be a deal.
Yeah, I'm excited. That's a totally rebuilt car. Even just like the little bits and pieces he's posted on Instagram, it's
Pretty
wild.
Pretty wild. So, anyway, let's talk about Superlap. So this year, a couple of the big things that I was excited for coming into the weekend, Life Motorsports was coming back. I'm still pretty sure that he just went fast enough to win the event last year, and he didn't really turn the screws all the way to 11 and let that thing eat. That's my personal opinion of it.
I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you on that.
So I was excited to see him. I assumed that even if he didn't have any competition for overall, that he would want to at least lower his record, his own record. You know, even if just by a small margin, so that next year he could continue chopping away at it.
Yeah.
So I was excited to see that. Everybody knows my love for World Time Attack. So when I found out that Elusive Racing was sending their Integra over here, I was pretty excited about seeing that. It's a Club Sprint car, a World Time Attack, which means it's, I say this in the like most air quotey way possible, it's their slowest class.
Okay.
The car makes 1,100 horsepower, but it's their slowest class.
Yeah, that is a slow car.
So they were second in their class this year at World Time Attack. They were the second fastest trap speed on the on track because they make 1,100 horsepower, and the car, because it's in such a low class, if you will, has pretty minimal aero. Like, the splitter's real small, it has no tunnels on it. I looked at it pretty close this week. Like, the car's very simple. It really just has... It's focused on more like just being simple and low drag and really fast.
Yeah.
So that's why it was able to trap such high speeds at World Time Attack. And
it looks like efficiency was their number one target with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Word on the street was they were hoping to trap nearly 200 miles an hour on the back straight this weekend.
Oh, shit. What car? What car is this? I'm trying to find a picture.
It says Elusive Racing. It's an Integra.
Okay.
It looks very similar in livery colors and whatnot to James's old K-tuned car.
Oh, okay.
It's red and black
Yep.
mostly.
Okay.
So they had a hell of a weekend.
Yeah, Barton Maurer, who is the driver of RP968, which everyone knows how much I love that.
Yes.
He was supposed to be, or he was here this weekend. So those were a few of the things that I was kind of excited about seeing this weekend. So Saturday morning rolls around. We get to the racetrack. By the time we got there, they were already hot because Coda didn't have their shit together for getting people in the gates, which was really frustrating and annoying.
No kidding.
But so we missed the first two sessions, and by that point, life had blown up or life hadn't blown up at that point yet, I guess. But Elusive blew up their trans.
Yep.
And they came with spares for basically everything except
The trans.
the trans.
Damn.
So
there was literally a billet block K motor sitting there in the side of their garage.
they had a full long block just sitting on a pallet right next to the car all weekend,
That's insane.
So
like ready to rock.
I walked out of the media center after getting my vest and saw them pulling that car by me, and it was just going as they were pulling it. And I was like, no, that's not a good thing.
And so in Club Sprint, you're not allowed to have sequentials.
Okay.
And in the years we've been going to Grid Life, we've seen, watching Will and James struggle with K-Series transmissions, how bulletproof they are not.
Right.
So when you have 1,100 horsepower, that seems to tend to happen. But they had a full PPG gear set inside of that car, and apparently it had been trouble-free enough not to justify bringing a spare.
Okay. Which is, of course, the one thing that's going to go wrong.
Or maybe it was a budget thing. I can't say for sure. But as soon as they came back and they pulled the trans out, they realized this is fucked. And so they put out a call, it went up on social media, and a bunch of people were sharing and posting and whatnot, looking for a stock K-Series trans.
I saw that was on Track Midwest.
Yeah, that they could put in the car. And I'm like,
it's going to shatter.
Even if they do, like, I've seen people break those with 250 wheel.
Yeah.
So, that at that point, I assume not only are they not going to be able to give it full tilt, but it probably also isn't the same gear ratio setup that the PPG set is.
Right.
So I assumed at that point that we weren't going to get to see the full potential of that car. So they were able to get out on Sunday and make a few runs. They made very respectable times. The car certainly is not slow in a straight line, or through a corner for that matter.
I'm pretty sure they said it trapped like 177 on the back, which is flying.
That might still be the highest trap speed of the weekend.
That's the fastest I saw.
Yeah, I don't know what else would have been faster than that, because that is absolutely insane on that back straight.
Formula One cars trap 197 there.
Good Lord.
So that kind of puts that into perspective.
So it's fast.
It's not slow.
Yeah, so the straight's really long, but you enter it really slow off of turn 11, and then it's also the first half of it is like fairly steeply uphill too, which you don't really realize watching it on TV.
Right.
Not only do you come in really slow, but you exit really slow, so the brake zone leaving the front straight is also really long.
Yes.
So while the straight is like something like 0.7 of a mile or better, a lot of it is like, there's a ton of brake zone to try and reel those cars back down.
Yep.
And you're coming in at like 60 miles an hour or less to start with. So honestly, the front straight, being that it's a pretty fast corner coming in, it's really not that much slower.
Oh, okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Even though it's notably shorter.
Yeah.
So,
well, and then on the front too, the brake zone is so heavy and it's so heavily uphill and the one that you can push that one really far.
Yeah.
So you can drive a lot deeper into it than what you can on the back.
Right. And then I don't think it happened the same session as the elusive car. I think it may have been the next session. I can't remember for sure now. Life lost a drive shaft on their GTR.
Yep.
Blew the drive shaft up, and when it came apart, it got into their wiring harness.
Oh shit!
And
what a
basically, they had this huge bundle of wires pulled out of that car, and they, from what it looked like to me, they basically rewired the entire car front to back.
Good grief.
Putting that drive shaft back in there.
Yeah, it looked like the main ECU harness for a standard car. There was like a 4-foot section of it just laying on the ground in their garage space next to the car. I was like, that doesn't look good.
Just yellow with a white stripe. Got it.
Yeah. So they were able to get the car back together and made a few runs Sunday, but they were like legit 20 seconds off of last year's pace.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever put a real time down.
I don't think they ever put in a real flyer.
No laps completed is what I have on my notes.
Yeah. So a lot of times it would go out and come right back. Like he wouldn't even cross start finish.
Yep. Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, the third session, he actually did the full out lap and then got about halfway into the lap. It looked like at pretty good pace, and then backed off of it on the back straight.
Yep. Yeah. The announcer said, "I'm hoping I'm not jinxing it, but it looks like he's on his first flyer." And not even 15 seconds later, it's like, I jinxed him. He's coming in. He looks like he's slowing down.
Dustin was able to get a pretty good shot of that car throwing sparks everywhere.
Yep. Sorry, I find it.
So the half of an attack lap he actually got, Dustin was able to capture. So that was cool.
Well, the photo itself is terrible, but the sparks are too good to throw it away. It's extremely blurry. But
the thing that I was worried about is that was the drive shaft coming apart. But it was funny during the live stream because you can see they have it up on those giant TV screens the whole time.
Oh yeah,
so you can kind of watch it as you're at the racetrack, and they were watching them try to load that car and they brought this flatbed out there.
You talking about the GTR?
Yeah.
Okay.
They brought a flatbed out there, and they tried to load it, and it wasn't working. Like, they weren't going to get that front splitter up onto that flatbed.
Well, it's on the ground. It's got, like, no clearance.
Right. And it's 3 feet out in front of the wheels.
Yes.
So, like, the angle of approach is
9
poor.
feet wide.
Yeah. The angle of approach is very poor.
Right.
And they ultimately ended up flat towing it back in. So,
oh, man.
Wild car. Super cool.
Yeah, it's super awesome.
Yeah. So, that kind of set the tone for the weekend for a lot of people.
That because they were struggling?
Yeah, this year was kind of the struggle fest of broken machinery and problems. There were cars in GLTC.
Yeah.
Luke McGrew, who we've talked about many times before with his Viper that he's ran in track mod for years in Grid Life.
Yep.
He, over the winter, built an NC Miata for GLTC and blew the motor up 3 laps into the first race.
Oh, shit, I missed that. I guess I missed the first race. I watched everything else.
Yeah, blew the motor up.
That is frustrating.
So, even the GLTC guys struggled a lot. Or, there were, to my knowledge, there of the, I think, 4 RSXs that were there this weekend, they all went home broken.
Ugh. That's a reliable car.
I think there were 3 GLTC RSXs and Will was there with his Time Attack RSX because he also has a GLTC RSX. But I think they all went home broken.
Jeez.
So, including our friend Jeremy Boyson.
Oh, his broke too?
Yeah, so it drove onto the trailer, but when they got home, it wouldn't start anymore. And it didn't sound real good when he drove it onto the trailer. And it turns out he
That's right.
bent some intake valves or something.
So he did post that he had it all torn apart.
Yeah. So that car didn't fare well either.
Damn it. I was really excited about that car. Still am.
That car is so cool.
So cool. We helped him bleed brakes on it. And I'm sitting
Nice.
I'm sitting in the driver's seat, being the up-down guy with the brake pedal.
Yeah.
And there's just so many things in that car, dude. Like, it has 2 different ways of adjusting brake bias.
Awesome.
It has a rear brake bias
Yes.
lever, like right next to the driver's seat.
Almost like a
It's
like
literally
a parking brake handle?
No, it's maybe 2 or 3 inches tall.
Okay.
It's just a valve in the line that runs to the back.
I see what you're saying.
It runs right along the passenger side
Tunnel.
of the tunnel, and then on the dash there's a knob, and apparently so that has a tilt and pedal box in it.
Yep.
And Jeremy didn't actually quite understand how this worked, and Jabe explained it to us. But so it has dual master cylinders, has a front and a rear master cylinder, right? And apparently there's this knob that you can turn, and there's like a bar that pushes on both of those master cylinders.
Okay.
And if you turn it more towards the front, it will tilt that bar so that when you apply the same amount of brake pressure, it doesn't apply as much pressure to the back as it does to the front.
Okay.
And you can tilt that knob to change the amount of brake pressure you're applying to the front and rear, which I think is kind of what you were looking for.
That was kind of what I was thinking when I was brainstorming what I would want to do.
Because I remember you were looking for rear brake bias options, and it didn't quite do what you wanted it to do.
No, because in all reality, I assume because I put the big brake kit on the front and haven't done shit to the back, so that if anything, I'm way and I'm biased towards the front. I was just kind of brainstorming like what I could possibly do to adjust that, what's all out there, and without going to like a completely different setup.
Yeah, his setup would not work on a factory car. You have to have dual master cylinders.
Yeah. And I wasn't looking to do anything dramatic. I was just kind of educating myself on. I'd never really looked into it, so
right.
Yeah, that exactly was kind of what I was picturing. What I would need to do.
So
we have that same kind of setup on the Camaro, and the way that Jabe explained it was way more eloquent than I've ever heard it explained.
Right.
Like we've had it in there. We've had it in the car for 10 years, and it's still just like voodoo to me.
the car stops, so don't touch the knob.
It feels right.
Well, that's pretty much how JB was about it. He's like, I don't fucking like, dude. That's an old Speed World Challenge car.
So, yeah, in theory,
like,
it should be
it's a professionally built race car. It has an in cockpit adjustable rear sway bar.
Oh shit!
So while we're bleeding the brakes on it,
is that supposed to be public knowledge?
that's fact, or it's part of the car. Like, it's nothing JB did.
Yeah.
But
Is that GLTC legal?
I don't know. Jabay was beyond jazzed about it.
Yeah.
So
He was like a kid on Christmas morning.
yeah,
looking
dude,
in
he's
the
like
back of that
crawling
car.
around underneath the back of that car, like, oh my god, this is amazing. So it was
wish I could have seen
interesting. It was an interesting day. Look at that car is something else. It's super cool. It's a very historic car, apparently,
Yeah, I believe that.
in the Honda world.
I'm glad Jeremy's got it then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And using
I saw
it.
him early on in one of the GLTC sessions, and I was like, Mugen, like what? Like why does that car have like the full like factory paint scheme on it? Oh, okay.
Because it is.
Actually was that car.
Yeah, it's not a reproduction. It's the car. Adam said the guy that owned it like didn't internet very well,
Okay.
and he had it for sale for a while, and just like nobody really knew about it. And I think JB got a hell of a deal on it.
I mean, it wasn't cheap, but I know it was a
Yeah.
fair price for
Well,
sure.
You could never touch building
No,
that car for the
not even
amount of money
close.
that he paid for it.
No.
So, as is usually the case, buying a built race car way cheaper than building your own race car.
Very, very true.
I'm going to get bought not built stickers for the Omni because everyone's so proud of their built not bought, which I get.
Yeah,
I totally get the pride in it, but it's way fucking cheaper not to do it that way.
life's fucking expensive, man. If you can do
Yeah.
it cheaper, do it.
Yeah. So
Some of us have an affliction where if we bought it, we would just end up rebuilding it anyway. So
well, I don't have the budget, or else I would have too. I mean, that was that was really my original plan. Was like, okay, well, I have a nice shell here,
Start from
and it's
scratch.
got a bunch of good parts on it. So now that means I can tear it down and build it up from there even further. And I just never have. So that's, I think, the intention everybody has when they buy somebody else's race car is like, somebody got a ways down the road. Now I'm going to make it better.
Right.
So maybe someday.
That's the dream.
So, I don't know what else we need to talk about. Day one stuff. Is there anything we want to? I think they had one GLTC race day one. They had a practice session qualifying, and then race one was on Saturday.
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yep.
that first race, I was like strategically positioning myself to where I could get back to there's scaffolding up at the top of the hill on turn one, and I wanted to be up there for the start of that race whenever everybody barreled into turn one on the first lap of that race. And I ended up getting to catch a ride with another photographer in a golf cart because we were both had the exact same thing on our minds, and it was cool seeing everybody spread out, and they came into turn one like 5 wide at the front of the field. It was super cool.
It was pretty wild watching those guys pile into that corner like that.
And so like James took a way outside line, and I think he probably figured out that the car would just hook up and go out there, and then ended up getting forced wide coming down the backside down to turn 2. And it, like, I got the sequence of pictures all the way through it, and it's really funny to see like this line that he's taking, and then like from one picture to the next, he's like well inside the track limits, to the next one he's like throwing up dust everywhere because he's way out in the runoff because of just how things shook out.
So that actually was a little bit dramatic. There was some drama around that.
Around that first turn?
Around James's line through the first turn.
Why I say that?
So, first of all, it's COTA, right?
Yeah.
It's a professional level racetrack. So, not only are there all those live stream cameras that you get to watch, but basically every inch of that racetrack is
Has a
covered
camera.
with cameras that race control can only see.
Yes. They showed it on the live stream a little bit where they would,
Yeah.
like, they had
Like this
20
huge
monitors.
bank of
Yeah.
monitors. And so they actually went back and watched not only the live stream replay, but all of those cameras.
Yep.
And it was decided that the line that James had in that was advantageous to get to 2.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
See,
And it was understood at first. They have like a peer review system for that GLTC uses that Adam came up with.
Okay.
If you read the rules, I'm sure it's all laid out in there. I don't know it well enough to really speak to it.
Right.
But I know they have some sort of peer review system along with their race manager, Renee, that kind of decide like what is the result of any questionable acts within the race.
Okay.
So they went through that whole thing, and it was decided that it was obvious that he was, or it wasn't obvious necessarily, but it was decided that he was trying to avoid contact with the S2000.
Yes.
And that, obviously they don't want to encourage people not to drive that way.
Okay.
Like they didn't want to penalize James so much because he
went off track.
they didn't want to penalize him for not crashing, but he did get some level of advantage with the line that he took, so he also needed to be penalized at some level for that.
Right.
And so they gave him 2 grid places on the next race.
Okay.
So instead of starting in pole, he started from the second row.
Okay.
And it's a somewhat unique situation there too, because it's paved runoff. So I think your willingness to be like, oh no, they're getting close to me and just go ahead and run wide is probably a little bit different than it would be at Gingerman or something like that. More of a club style track where you're just going to be off in the grass.
It's like that place is designed for really fast cars.
Yeah. Weird.
And they leave lots of space for things to go wrong.
Probably a good idea.
It's very nice.
I was watching on a different race that someone took a weird line like that, and they said that they didn't consider it a penalty because the line didn't give it an advantage. So I wasn't sure if they were referring to this one or not.
No, that was the deal with James, was that they decided that the line he got out of turn 1 was an advantage coming into turn 2.
Okay. It is what it is.
He did prove in these subsequent races, though, that car is just hooked up and trucking around that outside line no matter what the situation is.
It's true.
It is flying.
So he talked about it at length, the design philosophy behind that car. He talked about it at length with when we talked to him while we were recording for Slip Angle. Not that I want to push everybody towards Slip Angle, but it is what it is. But
you do share a website now. So.
Yeah, so I guess we gotta play nice now, right? We're in a podcast network.
Ooh,
yeah,
consortium.
Yeah. So, but he designed. There's the GLTC rule book was literally like kind of written like as a time attack rules, but for wheel-to-wheel racing. It's a builder's class.
Right.
And the hopes are that that power to weight will still maintain some level of reasonable budget. Which this is racing, so that's not going to fucking happen.
No, it's expensive no matter what.
I don't care what Adam Jabay wants. It's not going to happen. I know he's listening to this. But that car was designed, James's thought was in a wheel-to-wheel race, the easiest place to pass a car is in a straight line.
Okay.
It's hard to pass in a corner.
Yes.
It's easier to pass in a straight line. And so the easiest way to pass and the hardest way to be passed is if you're the fastest car on the track.
Okay.
And so he built the lightest car he could possibly build so that he has the most horsepower he could possibly have.
Yep.
And he has the least amount of, the car is designed to have the lowest coefficient of drag that they could possibly make with the car.
Okay.
So, when you look at the rule book, there's all the modifiers for what you can change and stuff like that. And like street tires is a negative modifier. So he has street tires on the car because that took away total weight. Front wheel drive is a negative modifier. So that's what he used, the less aero parts you have on there, the fewer modifiers points you're gonna take.
Yep.
And so that was the design philosophy behind that car. And I think it works. It obviously worked really well at Coda. I'm not convinced it will work as well at Gingerman
or NCM.
Or NCM, where those tracks will play more to a car that that is capable through a corner.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to change his setup.
I think
From
he's sticking
track
with
to
it.
track.
I think he's sticking with it.
Okay.
NCM's probably big enough that he'll have that advantage. There's 3 different pretty long straights.
Yeah.
They're not they're not. There's only one of them that's actually straight, but the others it's flat through bends in the middle of it. So
Yeah.
With the exception of the front and back straight at Coda, I think it's still surprisingly technical.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, all he has to do is get away from the pack in the straightaways, and they still got to get around him in the corner.
Right.
It's still the hardest to pass in the corner,
Yeah.
and as soon as he's back on the straight, he's going to walk away from him. That's the idea behind the car.
Makes sense.
So,
And it worked. I mean,
as
he
long
was
as you can
freaking quick.
defend your position in the corner, you're not going to pass him in the straight, so it doesn't matter.
No, it makes sense.
So it was fun to watch.
I think the Honda minivan kind of had a similar situation with the power that thing makes getting off of a corner, even though it's a big, heavy van. I think made it a lot harder to pass. He maintained over S2000s for several laps in nearly all of the races. It seemed like.
Well,
Yeah.
that car makes it. It's got a big J Series V6 in it,
Yep.
so like it has a ton of torque down low. Whereas like these high-strung S2000s, they don't make any torque at all.
Yep.
As compared to that,
I
anyway.
think it was race 3 or 4. There was a S2000 stuck behind him for like what felt like the whole race.
Yeah.
They kept going, cutting scenes to him. It's like he's still there, stuck
Yeah.
behind the van.
So we watched that race from the back straight because at that point on Sunday the elusive car was out.
Yes.
And we didn't know what it was going to do, but if it was going to go 200, I wanted to see it.
Of course.
So we went to the back straights because we wanted to watch Ferris go streaking by and listen to the glorious noises that car makes.
What engine does that have?
A big one.
Okay.
It's a 468.
Yeah, 468 LS.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good sound.
And a monster of a cam
Oh, fuck yeah.
and a sequential.
Stop. Stop. Stop.
It makes glorious
And
noises.
I can only get so
It's-
erect.
Yeah.
A great big set of headers dumping into a 3-inch straight out exhaust.
And so we were on the back straight, and every time we were watching, because the GLTC race was right after the time attack.
Yes.
And
I watched both of those.
what was interesting to me, the way that Superlap does it, usually they run the fast guys first, and every session gets slower and slower.
Right.
Superlap, they start with the slow guys and they build up to the fast guys.
Okay.
And so, like, the fastest run group was immediately followed by GLTC, so we didn't want to leave the back straight. We just stayed there
Right.
because we didn't want to miss the race, because we drove a car to get there because the place is fucking massive.
Huge.
And so we're standing on the scaffolding on the back straight, and every time that you'd assume that the next time they come around, that S2000 is going to be in front of that Honda, that van.
Yes.
And it just never was.
No, it was not.
So,
And eventually both of them had the bumpers torn off the back of them, didn't
yeah,
they?
both
there
rear
was-
bumpers.
There was some rear bumper to bumper contact.
He got real. I assume he got impatient and tried to just take it and didn't quite make it.
Right.
I never saw a video of it. They never went and replayed it, but that's kind
Yeah.
of the assumption I had.
Yep. I don't know.
No,
They went by us on the back straight once and everything was fine. And then they went by us on the back straight again and the van was behind the S2000 and both of them had rear bumper damage.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that's how it came across on the live stream. It was
I don't
just
know
like,
what happened. I know that the contact was made on the passenger side of the S2000 and the driver's side of the van.
Yes. Yes.
So that's all I can tell you about it.
Yep.
So, I think that was kind of the star of the weekend
The van.
in the paddock.
Yeah, they were. I
Like,
believe
people are
that.
the most excited about seeing that. They're like, is this for real?
Well, you would never expect it.
So they run Hoosiers on it.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
So it's got like some monsters all the way around. Because that car or that van, I'm sure weighs a ton, and so, when your car is really heavy and your power to weight ratio isn't the best, then
You can modify it up with all the
you can,
hippie stuff.
you can put a crazy amount of tire underneath it and really not hurt yourself that much.
Right.
You know, when your minimum weight, no matter what you do, your minimum weight is 3,400 pounds. You can really take some modifiers before you run out of space, you know?
Yeah.
So, or whatever the race weight is. I don't have any idea. I'm just guessing. But, and then they still run the 10-speed automatic.
Okay.
And I assume that because this is ran by, so HMA is Honda Manufacturing of Arkansas.
Yep.
So that's Team
Alabama.
HMA that runs that.
Yeah, they were talking about that. They were like a bunch of
Or yeah,
like
sorry,
Honda
Alabama.
engineers.
Dustin's right. Alabama.
Oh,
my bad. Not
whoops.
Arkansas. Alabama.
Whoa. We lost some fans.
Yeah, probably. It's fine. But they're Honda engineers.
Yep.
And so I assume that the transmission tune is not the factory one.
No, there's no way.
Yeah. And then that thing outbroke cars in braking zones.
Jeez, what are they running?
Outbraked?
Braked.
Is it outbraked in this situation?
In this
not
context,
outbroke, is it?
No, it's not outbroke in this context.
Okay. Outbraked.
Yep.
Multiple cars in braking zones.
Well, the brakes are freaking huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and then you've got all that tire and then all that weight pushing on that tire too.
And it's a Hoosier on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah, they could just
Stick you in
abuse
the tire,
those.
the better your braking's going to be.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, it was fun to watch. I know that was kind of the goal of that series, was to have a really varied and interesting field.
And they have that.
They did a pretty good job of it thus far.
And the racing's been good every time I've seen it.
Yep.
I haven't seen every race, but I've seen most.
Yep.
And they're good.
So,
Yeah, they got pretty spread out. That track's just so big, but there was still pretty well every lap you would have to, one car chewing on the back of another one whenever they would come back around. It was cool.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's probably like a 10 or 12 second a lap deficit from,
First to last.
well, so there was somebody there in a 1 Series BMW that was just like way, way, way slower than everybody
Yeah,
else.
he was clearly off pace for whatever reason.
So like if you grade this on the bell curve and you cut off the extreme outlier there,
Yeah.
from front to back without that guy was probably like a 10 to 15 second difference.
Yeah.
And that's on that track that big, they really spread out when they're doing that. But usually there's somebody battling, there's always there were groups of cars, but there was always at least 2 or 3 cars grouped together. It was very rare that it was just like a car by itself just putting in laps.
Right.
So fun to watch.
They put on a show.
Yeah, they did a good job of that. That was what they were there for, and they delivered for sure. So, other time attack stuff. So, Dustin is good friends with Ferris,
Yes.
who
We should be good friends with.
is
awesome.
a regular Optima competitor. I think he's becoming more of a Grid Life regular competitor now.
Yep.
And this year marks the second year in a row that he has taken their limited class title and lowered his own record. That's the same engine he had last year? Question mark.
Yeah, same engine. It's been freshened up. Toward the end of last year, I think it got. I don't remember which event it was. So last year, at the end of the year, he ran like 6 events in 10 weeks or something just crazy. And it was spanning from Road America to NOLA all the way out to Fontana in California. But at some point along the way, I think it got hot and hurt a head gasket. So he pulled it apart over the over the winter, and had the head serviced and got it put back together.
So is that a horsepower research motor?
Yes, that was HPR built it originally. It's been apart and back together several times since then. They've done some of it. Alex Pites, that's his tuner down in Houston, they've worked on it some as well. So whenever he was talking to me about the heads, I was like, those poor heads have been off and on and had so much done to them.
There's a one of the bolts on the header is not there.
Oh.
And I was like, that's
missing, right?
Missing, right? He goes, yeah, you can put a bolt in there and it'll just keep spinning forever.
Oh.
Like it's been that way a while. And he was just like real dismissive of it. And I was like,
It is what it is.
sweet.
That is Ferris in a nutshell.
Yeah. Yep. For being such a ridiculous car,
Yep.
and and him being so competitive in it, he's very just like nonchalant about
Everything.
the wildness that it is. So
Yeah, so the perfect summary I have is I helped him put arrow catches in his like just super nice Anderson Composites carbon fiber hood, and he's just like, yeah, this looks good. And, and I'm like, I put arrow catches in our just cheapy fiberglass hood on the Camaro, and it took me like 9 hours, and I was sweating and praying, and he's just like, yeah, okay, let's stick it on there and it works. I'm like, okay, what's wrong with me? I don't know, but
You just gotta get that first scratch. Like when I bought that Sieben hood, the first thing I did was I fucked it up and scratched it. Now I don't care anymore because I scratched it, and then I put it in a tire wall the first event. It is what it is.
in my situation, I just need my dad to scratch it first, and then everything's fine.
That's about right.
So
But yeah, so along with freshening up the engine, he put in a PPG sequential 6-speed in it over the winter too. And yeah, that
Awesome.
his in-car video now looks like Forza. Like he's doing Forza in real life.
So we were joking. The guys I went down there with, we were joking about how because gear sound, straight cut gear sound is glorious.
It's the best.
And what it is that the transmission is happy.
So it's squealing.
So it's
like a little
squealing.
pig.
Yeah, it's wee, like it's having fun.
Of course.
It's really enjoying everything that's happening.
It should.
It's the pig from the Geico commercial.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. The whole time, it's just the happiest transmission in the world.
It's a happy little puppy when you come home.
Absolutely. So the gearing that he has in that transmission is obviously set up for the tire that he normally runs.
Okay.
But at Super Lap Battle, you have to run a Yokohama.
Yeah.
And they don't have the size that he generally runs. He runs the ACR setup.
Yeah. The real sticky Kumo.
Yeah. And
Which
so,
is also the really tall Kumo.
yes, it's a very tall tire.
Oh, okay.
The back one's very tall. And so with a 305 series tire that he wanted to run for the width,
Yep.
he was gearing limited to 145 miles an hour,
That's not good enough.
which is not enough for that car.
No.
He said that with the 305 on it, he would max it out at 7,000 RPM down the front straight, and about halfway down the back straight, he'd be out of gear.
Oh my gosh.
Like, nowhere. And he was seconds off pace because of
Of course he would
like
be.
he's just sitting on his rev limiter,
just hanging out.
just hanging out for half a mile at 145 miles an hour.
Jeez.
And so he ended up switching to a 285
Yep.
that was much taller, like
Yes.
a full 2 inches taller.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah, fortunately, this was a foreseen potential issue. So he got a set of 20-inch wheels made in the right offset. Got them like shipped here from Ford Star as quick as he could from our buddy John that has Race Ready Motorsport, and threw a 285
Good
35 or something on it that is just this massively tall but skinny as hell tire.
So Ferris came with us when we went out to eat at Black's, right?
Right.
And we were talking about his tire situation. And he goes, and I quote, "I'm stuck using these Miata sized tires." and we kind of look at him and we go, "How big do you think a tire is on a Miata?" And he goes, "I don't know, they can't be any smaller than that, right?" And we were like,
Bro.
"Dude, a big tire on a Miata is a 225.
Yeah.
Most of those guys run 205 50-15s on their Miatas."
Yes.
It's like, it's such a wildly different world to him. Like, that's 285 is, I don't own anything that has a 285.
I'm at 275 now. That's like all the tires I bought are 275s. And
And
I
to
feel like
him,
I'm
that's-
starting to get into big boy tires.
And to him, that's a total waste of time.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, I side with that.
The fucking muscle car guys, man.
So I have a stack of 285s that I run on the Z, and that's the little tires, and then they sit next to the 315s, and that's only because I can't figure out how to fit 35s on the front of the Camaro.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hilarious. This Miata tires. It's a
Miata.
285. It's a huge tire, dude. by Miata standards.
Yeah.
Nobody has a 285 on a Miata.
Or a 240 for that matter.
245s you can fit. Josh used to
No, I'm talking on the 240SX.
Oh, okay.
Like 275 on the 240 is kind of where you're at.
Yeah. So, with the 285 on there, his mile, I don't know, do you have any idea what he was at? 160
I think
something?
he said it did like 164, I think.
So, a much more
On the
reasonable
backside.
pace. Reasonable. Air quotes,
Yeah.
reasonable. And he was able to shave off, like, I think almost a second and a half off of last year's lap record
Wow.
that he set.
Good
So,
for him.
Yeah, he was a 217.1, and it was a 218, like mid 218, I think, last year. So
Yeah. So,
Nice work.
the
car's a rocket
power
ship.
of the
That's
power
awesome.
of the sequential
Uh,
and the giant APR wing.
yeah, there's an APR 1000 on it.
It's awesome.
And it's a beautiful work of art, that wing.
Yes, it is.
So, pretty wild car, pretty fun to watch, great to listen to.
He's got a shitload of downforce because like, you can see his diffuser scraping the ground.
Yeah. So, I know him and Dustin have been poring over some of the pictures that he took.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of like really expert level aerodynamic analysis.
So,
I sent him a picture of the front of it, and I was like, I think you might need more bracing on the splitter because the center of the splitter is like
Dip.
smiling as it's going down the between turn 2 and the entry to the S's.
Well, it matches the gears.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
just
happy.
going,
That car is just so happy
Yeah.
all of the time. It has no reason not to be.
Yeah.
So, I think,
Well, does he have splitter rods on that?
no.
Okay, he might want splitter rods.
Yeah, so everything's behind the bumper. So he completely redid the way the radiator mounts and everything to lay the radiator down.
Yep.
And changed the nose this year. So the splitter, I think before had a little more support in the middle than what it does now. But
That makes sense because I kind of stalked him all winter when he did his splitter build and his like air ducting into his radiator, and basically without talking to him and just kind of getting measured like base ideas off of his pictures, I'm like, well, that's how I'll do it too then.
yeah,
So it's my setup's very similar to what he was doing, just because I was copying what I found.
and that's what the best of us do. We see the good ideas on the internet and then we steal them and
Yeah,
And pretend like it works really
hack
well.
them together with whatever skill we have.
that's what I'm doing with the fender vents.
Yeah.
Cut some holes, rivet them in. It's fine.
Yeah, there's only one way to find out if you can do something, and that's just to cut a big ass hole in the middle of it and then figure out if you can cover it back up or not.
You just got to commit to it, and you'll be fine.
The key is to wrap the car so you don't have to care about it.
Yes.
If that turned out to not work well, you fill it
is
in and
also-
put wrap over it. It's fine.
Uh-huh. Or if you run out of the color of wrap that you have and you can't find replacement, you just change the color.
Yeah, you just make it black.
Now it's got
instead.
black on it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Suddenly it becomes two-tone.
Yep.
Dustin's like, this is making sense because my car's painted and I feel bad about doing that sort of shit.
No, you ruined a paint job.
My car has vinyl on the bottom of it now, so
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
yeah.
So we brought Dalton along with us, who
Yes.
also has a C6, with the expressed purpose of ruining his life.
I'm so proud of you right now.
And, like, we
If he-
spent the whole weekend trying to get him, like, slowly, because Dalton's bad with peer pressure.
Yeah, he spent so much money already this winter.
Yeah,
I'm
he's-
so happy.
He's really bad with peer pressure.
That car's gonna be so
and
good.
so, like, we spent the whole weekend just chipping away at the fact that he needs a sequential.
Oh my God, you're an asshole! What an asshole!
But like we went out and we found what the asking price for basically the same setup that I think Ferris has. It's $18,000.
Yes, they're not cheap, even a little bit. Even the cheapest ones are not cheap.
Yeah,
So that might and he doesn't have a lot of competition in the series he's running in currently. So until guys like Ferris start showing up to the mid-div races, there's really no reason for him to do that.
yes, there is, Robbie. Yes, there is.
That's true. You're leaving time on the table, Dalton.
So-
you could be faster.
So every time we would walk around the paddock, we'd have to stop so that Dalton could look at something on there. And one time we're looking at it, Ferris had the hood off of it, and he's got that radiator set up in there, and that radiator's leaned forward, right?
Yep.
And Dalton made a comment about how there's so much room there. He's like, I need to do that because there's all this room here. And I go, yeah, that's where the turbos go. And he goes, no, that is not how that works.
That's how that works.
And Josh and Ryan had their backs turned to me, and they didn't hear that conversation. And so I said, hey, Josh. And, he turns around and I go, what's all this space for when you lean the radiator forward? He goes, that's where the turbos go. And I said, see? I told you. That's where the turbos go. And Josh goes, you just put one big single there, too. Like, you don't need two small ones. One big single is perfectly acceptable.
Or a Pro Charger. There's a lot of options here.
But that's definitely what that space is. You don't just leave space. It's wasted space.
Has he done a lot of work to keep it cool?
I don't know.
He had to.
I can't keep track of what's going on with that.
Let's assume he's putting a lot of work in that, too. Because if he's put a lot of work everywhere else, cooling was his issue last year.
Yeah. So...
I'm so glad that you showed that car to him all weekend.
Yeah, that was all we did was like, oh, let's go see what Ferris is doing right now.
Well, it's like,
oh, let's go the back straight and watch Ferris rip down the back straight at 170 miles an hour with a sequential. Oh, let's go stand here at the bottom of the stadium section and watch them come through that high speed sweeper and watch all those high downforce cars just going flat through there at like 140 miles an hour. Yeah, let's do that, Dalton.
Watching cars through the carousel will make you want downforce really bad.
Oh, that's one of my favorite spots is to stand there at the bottom of the track at like right into turn 19, which is the second to last corner, and watch them come around the stadium section, coming down through that really fast sweeper. I found a track map that has Formula One cornering speeds and straightaway speeds.
Okay.
And apparently that speed through 16, 17, 18 is 176 miles an hour.
That's fast.
They're turning at that speed.
That's insane.
And not only turning, it's like it's downhill and kind of feels a little bit off camber.
I think it's off camber. It looks to me like it's off camber, which I think is why they're able to hold such speed through there.
Right.
So it's pretty wild. It's fun. That's one of my favorite places to watch.
I get that.
So it was fun watching like James and the Life car go through there last year.
Yep.
Because those are real high downforce cars, and they just come flying through there. So
that's incredible.
Yeah. The track never ceases to amaze.
Yeah, I need to go see it.
I'm excited to go back there in June for the Champ Car race.
Oh yeah,
with Dustin.
That'd be fun.
We're gonna ruin his life wheel to wheel racing too. So it's gonna be great.
I need another expensive hobby.
Yeah,
why not?
We can all be miserable together.
I mean, like buying a seat's the way to do it, though. Look how much money you saved by not building a car for this.
Yeah.
Well,
he's like, I'll think about it.
It's still so in the entire time that I've been doing stuff with cars, I've driven someone else's car, I think maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
So I'm
a little nervous.
Totally unfamiliar with the feeling of hopping into someone else's car, particularly on a road course and particularly around 40 or 50 or 60 other cars on a 3.4 mile road course.
Right now.
Jeez,
it's not that bad.
It's still a bit.
It's a big track.
It's a big track.
Yeah, I suppose. Like, Coda's massive.
It's like almost 4 miles, and
yeah, you'll be fine. They had 60 at Hallett when Eric was there.
They put like
that would be a lot.
They put like 50 GLTC cars on Gingerman.
Yeah, they did.
I don't remember what the number was, but it sure seemed like 50.
They were like 30.
It might have been. That's still a lot of cars.
For Gingerman it is.
So, have you ever like in anger driven a front wheel drive car?
Yeah, so I had a Scion TC was what I started autocrossing in.
Oh, okay.
So that is the extent of my front wheel drive experience.
Nice. It's going to be interesting.
Good.
Dalton is in the same situation. Like, he's autocrossed a Fiesta, but that's really about it.
So I think I remember when in doubt, just hammer the gas and turn the wheel.
The thing is that car will burn through front tires if you really subscribe to that line of thought. So
another way to burn through tires is to lock it up going into a fast turn and just slide.
It just flat spots them. It just goes through a small percentage of the tire in one spot.
Hey,
The rest of the tire's fine, Robbie.
I can't say much. I ruined a brand new set of tires doing that. It is what it is.
So, I don't know. Is there what else do we need? What else do we need to talk
I
about?
got notes.
Robbie was like
took notes.
super hardcore watching the live streams. So
I didn't do shit
So
on
Robbie
Sunday.
probably knows more about what happened at the track than we
it's
did. Being
probably
there.
it's really hard to keep track of what's going on there because it's so big and there's so much going on.
Well, they did a really good job on the live stream of keeping me up to date. But one thing I was curious.
I was about 1,000 times better at knowing what was going on this year than I was last year. So I was kind of proud of myself for that I could actually tell you what had kind of sort of happened by the end of the day. But
Yeah.
Well, so they don't have any HPDE sort of sessions. Like if there's cars
Right.
on the track, they're out there competitively.
Right.
And so if you're traversing the area going from like one location to another and you're not watching what's going on track, you're missing something.
Right.
And so being there is very difficult to keep up with what's going. Like we're walking around with the live stream on our phones or watching Race Hero live timing the whole time.
Yeah.
Somebody's got the live stream up on their phone. Because otherwise you don't know what's happening.
Right.
So what notes you got, Robbie?
One thing I wanted to see if either one of you had any insight on. Jackie Ding, he went from...
Oh, yeah.
So he ran all day Saturday,
Yep.
got DQ'd
Yep.
because somebody protested, and then won on Sunday. So whatever he did, he was able to fix it and get it compliant by Sunday. I was
So-
curious if you had any insight on that.
So the front splitter on that car is pretty wild and extreme.
Yes.
And street class has global time attacks, street class rules, and grid life's street mod rules are pretty similar.
Right.
So their splitter design, they thought they had a box. So like I think the splitter is 5 inches as viewed from above.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they designed it as if it was a squared off box of 5 inches from the farthest forward point of the car.
Oh, okay.
And it is not. It is 5 inches as viewed from above.
Yes.
From that point on the car.
From any point on that circle.
So the leading corner edges of his splitter were outside of that box.
I can see that.
Because they had designed it as if it was a squared off 5 inches, and the rules are not that way. And so they literally...
It's a pretty clear-cut rule that's been that way for a long time, for the record.
I'm not going to get on anybody's side on any of it.
I'm not saying
I know
that.
that there was some drama with the way that it was protested. I don't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about the
I
drama.
don't even want to get involved in it. But they're literally just like, all right, well,
Let's hack that shit
if that's
off.
the rules, then.
Yeah.
And they just grabbed like a death wheel and
Yeah.
fixed it.
Because I knew it was fully compliant by Sunday.
And we went and looked
based
at it on Sunday, and had you not known that that's what they had to do, it didn't look
No.
like it was an issue.
Yeah.
It looked fine.
Some Instagram posts I made it sound like it was the end plates, but your description makes more sense.
Yeah, it was the end plates, and a little bit of it had to be squared off so that it fit inside of that.
The 5 inches off the bumper.
Yeah.
Not 5 inches off the tip.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't like
It's
it
a
was.
pretty- yeah, so
it wasn't like he
12
was.
inches.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was squared off.
No.
It was
It was
pretty
just-
close. They just shaved a small little bit of the end
So
plate.
basically,
area.
someone walked up to it and was like, tape measure. Oh, 5 1/8.
Yeah.
Protest.
He still won.
Yes, he did.
And
So, I mean, good for him. I mean, he's quick in that car. I'm not,
Super
not a
fast.
fan of the Supra, but he's super
the
fast.
time he
in it.
put
It looks
down in
great.
that car was wild.
Yep.
Yes,
Real
that
fast.
is extremely scary fast for a legitimate street car.
Yeah. Street class.
Running
That's crazy that that's a street class
222.
car to me. It just sure doesn't look like it.
Well, that kind of shows, like, you know, what I was talking about before we started the show, that, like, going to an event like this makes you realize just how much money it takes to be fast.
Yeah, to be at the pointy end
Like,
of the stick.
that's I mean, it's not the slowest class, but that's kind of the slower of the classes
Yep.
that anybody follows. And, like, that's a
This is street mod, you said?
street mod and grid life.
Okay. So you got street GT, street mod,
Track Mod Unlimited.
Unlimited. Okay.
So Global Time Attack, or Super Lap Battle in this case, has an enthusiast class, which is kind of a weird class rule and kind of a standalone thing and can be ignored almost entirely. And then there's Street, Limited, and Unlimited. That's basically the three classes that anybody tracks or anybody follows.
Okay.
Street, Limited,
Unlimited. Right.
It's a little bit confusing when you're on the track or when you're at the track and you're talking about cars, with Limited and Unlimited being such similar sounding things.
Yes, very confusing.
It's a little bit confusing. There's also a Pro Comp class, which is kind of above Unlimited, and that's like where tube chassis cars can fit in.
Okay.
And stuff like that. If you saw that crazy looking Rabbit,
To say, or Volkswagen Rabbits
The
that have
Volkswagen
eaten
Rabbit?
an S2000 and a Miata.
Apparently it's a Volkswagen body, or what's left of a Volkswagen body. It's like 40 inches wider, at least. Maybe more. It mostly carbon Kevlar. And it apparently is a Miata roller skate that the body is set on top of, and then it has an S2000 drivetrain.
Oh, wow.
So it has an F series or an F20, or I don't know if it's a 20 or the 22 or whatever, but it's an F motor and trans. And I don't know what the rear diff is, if that's an S2000 rear diff or a Miata rear diff. And then it's got the world's largest rear wing, and the front. It's got a front wing rather than a front splitter. Too. And it's a wild car. But I know he's been building it for like ever, and I don't follow him super closely. But like I only know of that car being on track maybe one or two other times. So it's not. I mean, it's very much in the development phase right now, and I don't know what kind of power it actually makes or anything like that. So it wasn't the fastest thing in the world,
right?
But it's wild looking. It's super duper cool. So yeah, that's the front end of it.
That'd be a super fun car.
It's a very cool car. So it's rear wheel drive.
Yes,
it's not in
a front wheel drive original car.
Yeah, but
it's not.
That body has been grafted onto a Miata chassis with its S2000 drivetrain in it. So
what a crazy setup.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like 3 scrap cars. Like, we'll make all this work somehow. Yeah. That's the right attitude to have.
Yeah. So one of my favorite cars to see. I've been following him. To my knowledge, he really only posts stuff on Instagram.
Yep.
Like I don't like friending people I've never met.
On Facebook?
If they friend me, I'll usually accept it, but I don't like being the one that does that.
Right.
And like, so I don't know who this guy is from Joe Blow. You know,
right.
He lives in California, so I follow him on Instagram. But I open my Instagram app like once a month, so I never see anything of it. I just like get. So when I know of the car,
yes,
and when I saw that he was listed as coming, I was like, "Fuck yes,
perfect!
I can't wait to see that thing." That was one of the cars I was looking forward to seeing. So
nice.
I hope that he finds some more pace in it. I think he will. Like I said, it's pretty early.
So if he's getting started, he's only going to get quicker.
Yeah. So rad.
Oh, one thing I thought was cool, and have they done this with GLTC where they invert the grid before? I don't know. Either they have and I haven't noticed.
My understanding is that it. A lot of people really advocated for that to be a thing all the time.
Yes.
And Adam doesn't love the idea. And so basically my understanding is that they take it on a race by race, weekend by weekend, case by case basis.
Okay.
And if the group wants it and everybody is in agreement, they will do it.
Okay. Yeah, so basically what happens is, so this would be the 4th race of the weekend.
Yeah.
So what they did was they took 8th place.
6th. First 6 were inverted.
Okay. It was going to be first 8, and they switched it to first 6 then.
Yep.
But yeah, so it was the top 6, and they switched it so that.
So if you were in 6th
first
place, you're now pole position.
Yes. Sure it wasn't 8?
I'm pretty sure it was the first 6.
I thought it was 8.
Yeah, I think it was
nope, it's top 6. I have notes right here. Top 6.
Yeah. So JB got bumped to the front of the pack.
Yep.
Which was pretty cool.
I was all excited about it. I was cheering for him.
Yeah. So, I remember James's strategy for that was be in front by the end of the first time they go through the front straight. and he was already in front by like the time they got partway through the S's.
Jeez.
Or was that the one where he slid, or was that the third race?
Oh,
there was one where he got sideways out in the S's and had to like claw his way back up through.
That was it. Because
there was one race.
Third race, his car died, and he had to come back.
That's right.
We were joking about that. So his throttle positioning sensor fell apart.
Yes,
and that's why
because he came down the front straight, leading before the first lap, before it went green, and all of a sudden he stopped, and all the other cars behind him were so confused as to what to do because he's the leader,
right?
And he's just not moving.
And so I was joking with Jabe. I was like, he didn't run that out of gas, did he? And he's like, no, it's the throttle positioning sensor. And I was like, because he's used to time attack where he gets in like four laps a weekend. We were like, it would have been really funny if he was just not used to putting gas in his race car and he ran it out. And he goes, I'll bet you he'd put in more laps this weekend than he did all of last year already.
Probably.
And that's probably true. But...
Huh.
So that's not what it was. It was way less funny story being the throttle positioning sensor.
What if he had just gone with the standard build like they've done on the Integra all these years and just put like a 1.5 gallon fuel cell in it just because, everything's got to be light.
That's all we need, right?
Yeah.
Gets 3 laps in the first race and realizes, oh no.
It's not a stock tank.
No.
And I assume it's the smallest, lightest one he thought he could get away with.
I would imagine.
So,
because it's not a super long race. I mean, you don't need a bunch of gas or
15
fuel.
minutes or 20 minutes, something like that. Yeah. So,
and then I had one observation.
Okay,
Mr. Adam Jabe. I thought I thought it was really funny during the live stream where he kept talking about it's getting hot out here, hot and humid. We don't know what these cars are going to do. And then they cut to Adam sitting there in a winter coat. It's so hot. Adam, you're wearing a coat.
He was really mad at himself for not shaving before the weekend started because he looked like a homeless hobo.
No, he did not.
So it was funny.
You look fine, Adam. I was just like giving you a hard time because you were wearing a coat talking about how hot it was.
It was 80 degrees on Sunday. It was glorious.
That would be perfect.
He was probably in the air conditioning room, though. It was probably cold in there.
I don't feel bad for the people in the air conditioning room complaining about being cold.
Yeah. So, one thing I saw, and I don't know if anybody's got anything else, but one thing I saw that I thought was really, really cool this weekend that we've seen the opposite of in the past, and expressed our disappointment on the show.
Okay.
They have a time where everybody shuts down, all the cars are in paddock, and they open it up. Like, fans can be there.
Like a fan walk?
They have a fan walk, and the drivers are encouraged to be by their cars. And people get to talk to them and look at the cars and ask them questions. And they even had an autograph signing session.
Nice.
But at one point on Sunday during the fan walk, we were over looking at the Life car, trying to decide if we thought they were going to make a flyer or not, because we were trying to plan our exit strategy.
Right.
If we wanted to hang around and watch this car make a flyer, or if they were packing up and calling it a day. And we walk by the car, and there's like this 8-year-old kid who's sitting in the driver's seat of that car with the biggest smile you've ever seen in your entire life. And his dad is like trying to get him to look forward through the windshield so he can take a picture of his son in the car. And the kid's just like a million miles an hour, and looking at everything except through the windshield like his dad wanted, because he was so excited about it. And I'm super glad that they are cool enough to let him do that, to give the younger kids like that the opportunity to be that close to such serious pro level race cars.
Yeah,
because like when we were at PRI, I specifically remember we even talked about it on the show. There was a little boy, and he was drooling over that 458 race car, or 488 race car, or whatever it was, 2 years ago.
No, that was this year, wasn't it?
I think it was 2 years ago. I think Michael was there with us.
Yes,
because we were making fun of it for the watch.
I explicitly remember it. Yep.
And I didn't notice it, but you noticed that they had asked the people that were there if they would let their son sit in the car, and they shut him down on it.
They're fucking rude.
Yeah, and they were, not only did they say no, but they were rude about it in the process.
Yeah.
And like, that's not
That's funny that I remember it that vividly that I thought it was this year.
That's not what you do.
I'll never forget it.
It's not what you do.
No.
And
people with a Ferrari weren't accommodating. That's kind of weird.
I know. I was shocked. Usually they're so accommodating.
yeah, Ferrari with a bunch of
thought?
Hublot livery all over the front of it.
Well, did I ever tell you about the first PDX I did? I was walking through the garage, and then the guy that owned the Ferrari was talking about how much he liked the 240 because of the swap.
Oh, okay.
And then I was looking at his Ferrari, and then one of the guys went, "Just get in." I was convinced it wasn't the owner, so I didn't do it. I'm like, no.
Nah.
That's a trap. I'm going over there.
Yeah. But
It's a 458. It's not going to catch on fire that much.
I think it was a 430.
Oh, okay.
as long as it's
You were
off,
fine.
it probably won't start on fire.
You don't know that.
I
They
said-
burst into flames for no
I
reason.
said probably.
That's
So, it made me happy. You know, it's cool that they do the fan walk.
that is fun.
I like that. I kind of like that they treat the drivers like
Stars.
celebrities
Yeah.
at the event.
Well, they are the stars.
It was cool that they had like a set autograph session for Cole and Will and the two Australians.
Yeah, Brett and Barton.
Yeah.
Aaron Kaufman was there putting in laps in a Spec Z.
No shit.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Oh man, Robbie, that Spec Z, that would have been a bad thing for you
Yeah,
to
so
be
that's
around.
what Life brought as like their, like,
Is that the blue one?
yeah, so there's a blue, because Life has a whole fleet of Spec Zs.
God damn it.
I think they might have been the originators of that class for NASA.
Probably.
And that was kind of like the whore car.
Yeah.
Just let everybody drive. So like Aaron
It's a perfect
Kaufman's
car for
putting
that.
laps in it. Barton Maurer came from Australia and was putting laps in it. You know, it was just out on sessions. And dude, it sounded great.
I bet it did.
It was cool.
And it was pretty quick for what I don't think you can do anything power wise to those
It's a
for Spec
very,
Z, so
very
assuming it was
basic
running in
build.
that trim.
Yeah, there's not much you can do to them.
They were running it on the slick.
Because I went through the
But
rules
still.
and was like, well, mine's not going to work for this.
Yeah. Yours is
Way too far out.
By time attack standards, it's a pretty tame build,
But-
and it's already way too far the wrong way to be.
Yeah, it'd be
Spec
pain in
Z
the
legal.
ass to bring it back.
So, and it was quick. I think
It's fun.
they were in the 20s, weren't they?
No shit.
I want to say he ran like a 32 or a 30, something like that. I don't think they were in the 20s.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
I still have.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, he ran Barton ran a 29 in it. Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
cool.
It's fast.
Yeah, I want to hear
Yeah,
my Z
that's-
start so bad right now. I need to pay Bill for one lap, so I don't have any money to buy anything for the Z.
Right.
Because otherwise, I'm going to buy that ECU swap or the ECU tune.
Yeah.
So this weekend, Bill's getting money just so even if he doesn't want it yet, he's getting it. Otherwise, I'm going to be too tempted because I ordered my racing suit and I got everything bought for one lap besides the money I have to pay to Bill. So Bill's just going to get that money right now, and then I'll worry about getting the Z started after that.
Speaking
That's
of,
what credit cards are for, Robbie.
No,
yeah, it's fine,
not,
right?
we're not doing that. We're not doing it.
You got like what 6 months 0% on the PayPal. It's fine.
Yeah, but no, I'm not doing it.
Come on, Robbie.
No, I got
been a-
shit to pay for, man.
It's been a while since this has been said. I think that's future Robbie's problem.
It's true.
I got
true.
the 240 to get to races. I got stuff to do. It's fine. I would love to have it running by June, so I can take it to the first drift event.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of paying people things,
Okay.
we discovered this weekend that you can transfer money to people through Facebook Messenger, right?
Yeah, of course.
And when you do that, like money falls from the top of the screen,
Uh huh.
and not only can you send money to people, but you can request money from people.
Just cold call them.
Yeah, so like sitting right here, I can request $1,000 from you,
Yeah,
and you can just decline it,
of course.
you know. And so like, when you send to people money,
Yep.
you can like catch the stuff that's falling. You can like throw it back up in the air again.
Oh, really?
And so we discovered that when you send somebody a penny, that just one penny falls from And so Dalton was like sending me a penny. He would transfer me a penny, and then he would play with them. Every time you open, until somebody sends another message in that thread, every time you open it, the penny falls from the top of the screen, and he would catch it and like try and throw it back up again. And then I would like send him a thumbs up so it would stop going there, and he'd have to send me another penny.
That's hilarious.
And so now my new favorite thing to do is, because Josh and Ryan and Dalton in our group chat, they think it's funny to send me links to random things they think
you
I
need to
should
buy. Yeah.
So now my new favorite thing is, you send me a $2,500 car you think I should buy, I'm going to send you a request for $2,500.
That's incredible.
So-
I knew it did the coin thing because before Jess and I had a joint account, we would just use the only time we'd ever use Messenger was to pay each other.
Right.
So like if you would go through, it's just transaction for like 3 fucking years. That's all it is just transactions.
Well, so that's how I paid Josh for, because he paid for the hotels up front, and then he figured out like roughly what the gas bill was going to be and just gave us a total for the weekend.
Perfect.
And so I sent him the money that way, and he was like, I didn't even know you could fucking do this.
It's so convenient.
And he's
it's
like,
too convenient.
He's like, I don't know. Like, he doesn't remember ever putting his bank information into there, but it showed up. So like, Zuckerberg's got him, man.
Yeah.
So don't worry, Zuckerberg's got you covered.
He took it from your wallet somehow.
So
Well, that's like those cash apps and stuff too. Like, so if someone,
Venmo and
yeah,
stuff
they
like
can
that.
send it to you,
yeah,
and then it's in that account, and then
Yeah.
you have to set up and figure out how you get it out.
right,
But yeah, anyone can send you money.
yeah. So Facebook, it'll go straight to your bank account.
Yep.
I assume he put it in there at some point. He just doesn't remember.
Yeah,
it,
I'm
but
sure.
I think I've paid him that way before.
I've done that with a handful of things, like off Craigslist, because I was like, how do you want me to pay? I have like literally all the apps, cash. Why? Why the fuck do you want cash?
Come on, Robbie. Swap meets are cash only, Robbie.
Not anymore.
Yeah, sure.
No way.
At a swap meet, nobody is Venmoing
Yes,
people
they
money at
are.
a swap meet. No,
Everyone-
they are not.
Everyone is
No,
Venmoing.
everybody is carrying $10,000 in cash there.
No, they are not. Not
Dude,
anymore.
like the concentration of cash at a swap meet, insanity.
It's 2020, bro. It's not happening anymore.
No, it's not.
I promise you.
I promise you, Robbie.
Everyone's got their little squares out, and then their Venmo.
No way,
apps.
dude. It's a bunch of people my dad's age who doesn't
Nope.
even know what Square is and gets
Nope.
mad at me when I don't have cash on me.
Cash isn't a thing
Let's-
anymore.
It's people your dad's age until you get your new venture up and going with
I'm
the
so
young
glad
person
that
swap
caught.
meet thing.
So glad this caught on. Now he's got to do it.
I have looked into it a little bit. I haven't reached out to anybody yet.
I got some stuff that I could sell. I'll bring it. I'm in.
That's probably what we'll end up doing is putting a couple of friends in a booth.
I have this big yard. We could have a swap meet in my yard.
Oh shit, Robbie, you be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. I charge a
would
lot
send you,
to. I'll charge a
I would
lot to
send you
rent
some
the
things
place.
I would send you some things to sell in the postal service, but they would break them before they got there. So
Quit
Yeah,
selling
right.
glass.
He's probably got some spare Z parts he doesn't need anymore.
Hey, weren't you supposed to send us something this week?
yeah. So I have a non-muscle shirt for you.
Oh, that's right.
It'll find
'cause
its,
I got
it'll find its way up there eventually.
You can have mine because it shrank and I'm never going to wear it again.
Okay, yes, you'll add him an XL. I'll wear
So
that.
The only thing I have left is a 2XL. I don't know that Adam's that big.
No, it's
he's
a little
not.
too big
That
for
would-
me.
He would
So
drown
this
in
is
that.
this is the XL that I bought from Heretics,
Okay,
the Festiva guys.
that shrank nice then, didn't
Yeah,
it?
it fits fine.
Okay.
So I now I know that when I have when it's a fitted tee, I just
Get
buy
one
an XL and it's
Get
fine.
one extra.
Speaking of heretics, those guys need a big shout out for having
The worst luck.
really bad turn of luck and then turning it into just coming out to the track and having fun anyway.
Yeah. So they're
Yeah, there's no picture.
unlimited class Festiva, like the night before, basically. They
Yeah.
were supposed to leave. The car, they had a little bit of a welding accident, and the car started on fire. And they're lucky it was just the car that burned. It's bad.
It looked really bad. in
It's
pictures.
really bad. So I've been told that. So I actually, I bumped into him and I met the car owner and I met a few of those guys that listen to the show. And when I bumped into him, I just happened to be wearing their shirt, which was cool.
Oh, nice.
But the car is they're going to rebuild it. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
I mean, it wasn't completed.
So what they ended up doing was they brought a bone stock CRZ, which is that little
that little Honda,
almost like modern day CRX looking thing that's a hybrid but supposed to be like a sporty fun car.
They thought that was going to be the next thing, man. When that came out,
I still don't.
It wasn't. It just didn't. It wasn't popular.
That's because
it didn't sell.
That's because car enthusiasts don't buy new cars.
True, but like they didn't sell a lot. You don't see them very often.
No, I would buy one. You get that's a manual hybrid.
I don't want a hybrid. I want a big V8.
Yeah, but like that'd be the perfect daily for me.
That'd be great. It really would.
I've thought about it.
So if you have Adam on Facebook, you should send him all of your what are these called?
CRZs. Yeah, and then I'll send you a request for the amount of money that
it's a fun little game we have.
Yeah, and when someone ponies up, I'll buy the CRZ.
Yeah, but then you'll feel bad because you don't like taking money from people.
Well, right now I'm a little pissed at my Blazer, so I'm willing to take money from somebody to buy a new daily at this point.
We can talk about that next week because I got stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
on the
that's
Avalanche.
fine. So, but they made the best of a bad situation.
Yeah.
They still made it out on track, and, you got to applaud that.
Absolutely.
So
they could have stayed at home and just avoided everybody, but
just been mad at the world.
Which I get.
Instead, they drove from Phoenix, Arizona to Austin, Texas, in that little CRZ loaded with as many tools as they possibly could.
No sense chancing it.
We borrowed their jack so that we could bleed the brakes on JB's RSX because in that giant toter home of his, he didn't have a jack.
He's got a professional race rig and no jack.
So he opens the cupboard.
Foot long rig.
He opens the cupboard where it is, and he points to the floor and he goes, "That's where my jack is supposed to be." And I was like,
"Damn it,
sweet." He goes, "I think I know where it is, but it's not in here."
Shit. Luckily, that's a dime a dozen at tracks.
Yeah,
okay.
So I was able to find. They were nearby when I was walking around trying to find somebody I knew, and I was like, "Hey, you guys got a jack?" Like, yeah, we were able to find space for one in the CRZ.
Perfect.
So I went and stole that from them for a little while, and we were able to bleed the brakes on the RSX. So
nice.
Funny toter home story. Oh, because that's the other thing we're trying to ruin Dalton's life with.
That he needs a toter home.
Yeah, he needs a toter home.
Well, Adam Pizzetto just bought one.
He needs to buy a toter home that's big enough to haul multiple cars so that we can just all pile in with him.
Yeah, of course.
That sounds reasonable, don't you think?
It's selfish for him not to do that.
Right, exactly.
Does he not want friends?
Thank you.
I mean, if he didn't want friends, he'd have an Avalanche and a single open trailer, like me.
Thank you,
But he has a long. He could have a long two car trailer.
No. Like a 4-car stacker.
Oh, stacker, yeah.
We're talking a toter home here. The full rig.
I love this idea.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah,
if we're spending Dalton's money, we're going all the way here.
Yeah, we could put 1010's podcast logos on the side. We could have Mid-Iv Time Trials logos on the side.
Yeah. So driving home, Josh and Dalton were looking at toter homes, and for Dalton,
of course.
So Dalton's looking at like a 1960s toter home for $40,000, and Josh is looking at a 2015 toter home for $200,000. Like, dude, you should buy this one.
What a jerk.
Funny toter home story for JB. We're over there like working, trying to figure out how we were going to bleed the brakes on the RSX because we don't have a jack.
Right.
Trying to figure out how. Like he bought an Evo on his way there because
he bought an Evo.
It's a different story. I don't want to blow up a spot on the podcast. So, but he happened to have an Evo with him, and it had the factory spare tire jack, and we tried to lift the RSX with.
Nope.
And that wasn't working. We were trying to figure out different things. And like. So this is a fairly publicized event, and there was actually a lot of people there. I was surprised at how many spectators there were.
That's awesome.
And with the car show and stuff like that, whenever you have a car show and it's fairly publicized, the Instagram sleuths come in force, right?
Of course.
And so this dude and this model Ashley Catastrophe, 2 E's, K for catastrophe if you want to look at it.
Never even heard of this
the
girl.
Instagram. Ashley with 2 E's, Catastrophe with a K. There you go, guys. All those hungry dudes out there.
Thirsty.
There's a lot going on in that name.
I'm dissecting the name. I don't know who that is. I've never heard of her.
But
I can maybe guess what the home life
her
like as a child.
she's married with a kid, man. She's happy. It's fine.
Okay.
But her and her photographer, which I assume is probably her husband, which is a very weird situation.
Yeah, that's more common than you'd realize.
World, comes up to, well, so I'm sitting on the step to the side door into the toter home.
Right.
He like looks at me and goes, "Is this yours?" And I was like, "Oh God, no!"
Fuck yeah! What's up?
And I was like, "It's his over there." And I pointed at JB, who was like looking at his RSX or whatever, and they're like, "You mind if we go in there and like shoot some photos?"
In the toter home?
Yeah,
Like in the
so
trailer?
they did like a full photo shoot in the trailer, in the stacker,
All right.
and it was hilarious.
Was it a cool shot?
I don't know. I never really saw any of them.
Should we tag JB in those pictures? I won't.
I don't know if she ever posted any of them or where she
I'm not gonna
posted
look.
them on Instagram or anything like that. But
Well, it's probably at her Instagram handle
right, I don't know if she ever posted them or not.
yet. Well, you gotta touch them up. Not everyone's as fast as Dustin here.
That's true. So
Are they available free or are they behind a paywall? That's the question.
It's on her OnlyFans.
well, what we saw, it wasn't quite to the point where it needed to be behind a paywall. They were still
Tastefully
they
done.
were still inside of the Instagram's rules
Okay. All right.
for stuff. So
Where do we go from here?
the news, maybe, I don't know. You got any other last thoughts there, Dustin?
I know Dustin thought the Subaru sponsored by the vape company was funny.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that I had to look at it twice. So what was his?
JC Monet.
Yeah, JC Monet in limited class that Ferris was battling with was driving a Subaru STI with the craziest intercooler setup I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like
it's quite the deal, isn't it?
So this was like the JDM oil cooler mounted outside of the bumper thing, but it was the entire intercooler that was like taller than the bumper on the car,
Yeah.
completely outside of the car.
That's hilarious.
He's got a wild front splitter setup on that car too. He's been apparently he's like the OG in American Time Attack. Like he's been doing this shit
doing this forever.
for like 15 years or some crazy thing. He did a
wild
show
build.
with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really cool car. He's quick.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's always fun.
That is another car that whenever you look at it, you don't think, man, that car runs a 218 at Coda. Like,
Good Lord.
was seriously impressive.
Super fast.
That is very fast.
And yeah, he's sponsored by Ripe Vapes on a Subaru. So
Takes up the whole
He
door.
knows his target market, or they know their target market.
They're doing well.
One of the two. So it was kind of funny,
Yeah, I like that.
but
It just turned into it, you know?
yeah, lean into the joke, right?
Yeah.
and then my other fun thing was Sally McNulty. I guess their splitter mounts broke, so they were using ratchet straps to hold it up.
Oh, that's right.
Like 1 inch,
And-
the smaller ratchet straps.
yeah, I wanted to ask about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, tell the story.
Yes.
From what I could tell, when we were watching them on the back straight, that car rolls out.
Yep.
And I think that they were probably doing speeds that they're not typically accustomed to doing at most of the tracks that they go to.
Makes
Like
sense.
the top speed at Gingerman or Button Willow aren't quite the same as the top speed at Coda. And I don't think that their splitter was up to the task at that mile per hour,
Okay.
which I guess speaks volumes to how well their splitter works. And so they had two, like the 1 inch wide, like run of the mill
Ratchet
Walmart
straps.
ratchet straps. X'd across, like up into her front bumper, and I assume attached to like the radiator support in some way.
Okay.
And then I went down to where the splitter rods used to be attached,
Yep.
and was just doing the best they could to hold the splitter from dragging on the ground.
Okay, because I saw she posted
Wasn't
that.
really that all successful.
I
To
saw
be
that
completely honest.
they were doing they were going to test whether it was if you do just the straight up and down or do the crisscross, which would be better.
They ran the X most of the weekend that I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they went out with them straight first, and those I don't think those held up. I remember
That sounds.
seems like I
that
remember
sounds
them
right.
here. Remember them saying on the live stream that they had broken on that time. So, there's the age old argument whenever you're tying the car down on the trailer, like, is it better to go straight or to cross them? So they were just testing that out in a little different way.
So you cross them, which I guess I'm not too surprised that a cheaper 1-inch would break under those forces if it's trying to hold up a splitter.
Yeah.
They're not made for a lot of weight.
It really speaks to how well the aero on that stuff works, though.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, they were doing 150 miles an hour probably down that back straight,
Yeah.
so I suppose. But, yeah.
Yeah, those later model WRXs, I don't look at that and think like that just looks like a naturally fast car. And there were several of them there that were putting down really solid times.
Yeah. You can make anything fast with enough boost.
And money.
And money.
That's kind of how it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's all I got.
Yeah. So we keep moving on.
Should we do the news?
Sticking around for the news there, Dusty?
Yeah, I'll hang out and be the third wheel for a little while longer.
Yeah.
Love it. The news is presented by Apex Pro,
There you go.
ApexTrackCoach.com. If you were at COTA this weekend, you noticed that all of the fastest drivers were using Apex Pro. Don't test me on that. I know it's for true.
I
wasn't
know there were people using them because I opened up CrewView one time
Yep.
when I thought about it. I wanted to check it a couple of times and I forgot about it
Right.
again. But at the moment that I opened it, somebody was on track during a time attack session with a CrewView.
Hell yeah.
So
They're out there.
super cool.
So I can't say enough good things about Android and Apex Pro.
I made sure to pitch our discount code when I recorded with Slip Angle.
You should. Everyone
Absolutely.
should use it.
Abe was like, "Are you trying to like support your own shit on my show?" I'm like,
Yeah, that's exactly what we're
100%
doing
what's
here.
happening right
Yeah.
now. Because they were like
They've got all
telling
that-
people to go to their
they've got all
store
that
and buy
Patreon
them, and I was
money.
like,
They don't
"Nah,
need
bro." Yeah, they're doing fine.
Yeah, they're go to ApexTrackCoach.com, use our code 1010, get a free section
Yeah.
out. Don't bother with the track tune one yet.
Nah, screw those guys. So, up first, Ford techs will learn how to fix the Mustang Mach-E with VR.
This looks infuriating.
That's one way to describe it.
Because if I'm built like as someone that went to college for this, as
Yep.
someone that was trained in it,
Yep.
if someone would have walked up to me and said, "Today's the day you learn how to do this with a VR," I'm gonna go, "No, it's not. Hand me the fucking manual because that'll make way more sense than this." Like Lincoln, the welding company, or maybe it's Miller.
Yep.
They have a virtual reality welding software that you can learn with.
Oh, okay.
I was not impressed with it, and that would be leaps and bounds better than this, in my opinion.
I think it's hilarious.
I don't think it's going to give you what you're looking for.
No, not at all.
I mean, I think of a YouTube video walking you through a teardown and reassembly of whatever you're trying to focus on would be 100 times more effective than whatever this is trying to accomplish. And maybe I'm not giving VR enough credit.
I don't know. I've never done VR. Anything.
The stuff I have has not been anything impressive.
Have you ever, Dustin?
So I haven't. I've really wanted to get an Oculus set up for
You
my
would be
sim
both.
rig, but I don't. I would love to use someone else's first before I take $400 and spend it on that experiment.
That's exactly how I feel about the sim racing stuff on that.
I just wanted to play Skyrim. 'Cause I think it'd be great.
But yeah, I'm just curious how it's going to work because you'd almost need like the VR gloves.
I think you have to have the whole setup.
Then there has to be like a tool, so you have to like animate yourself using the tools.
Yep.
If it's supposed to teach you how to tear down and
Yeah, I
and
think that's
fix.
exactly what the goal is. Is that they're going to have the
that's-
gloves and the tools, and you're going to be standing in a bay with a VR headset on, like doing stuff.
Well, I suppose that if you want to accurately remember how to be frustrated throwing tools, this is a great way to get you there.
I wonder what would happen if you threw a tool in the VR thing. That's
It'll cost you
hilarious.
10 times as much.
So what we're arriving at here is that they're building a rig that probably costs like $250,000 to train people how to work on a car that they could have just brought there for the manufacturer cost of like 20 grand.
Yes.
What I assume the goal is here is that they want dealerships to all buy this so that all of their cars moving forward, their training stuff will be done on this.
Yes.
This is just the start of it. And, you roll the cost out across a line of cars and a group of techs, and you teach them how to work on everything rather than sitting them down in a classroom.
Yeah. I'm just curious as to why they think that this car, I understand it's an electric car and it's going to be different, but is it that dramatically different that you need to invest in a VR system to explain
No, I think
it?
it's just that they're doing it on this vehicle first. Could have been anything. They chose
Fair
this
enough.
one.
Fair enough.
I have a counter theory. This entire thing has kind of seemed like it was just a publicity thing about calling it a Mustang and, just stirring up artificial controversy or discussion one way or the other.
Absolutely.
And this is another step in that process.
I guess, any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, I don't know that it's intended to be. I feel like it's a bunch of people in a boardroom that have never met a group of automotive techs saying, "This is a great idea. It'll work perfectly. It'll get us lots of headlines on Jalopnik."
Probably Road and Track.
Yeah,
more than Jalopnik. They're like, Jalahu?
and it's on road and track.
Yeah. So,
I don't know, man. If this is how I would have been trained in automotive school, I don't know if I would have finished.
I think I would like to try it before I make such a sweeping statement.
Say it could be dramatically different than any VR I've ever done.
I think if I'm just sitting there like holding a controller,
You won't be.
looking at a headset like that, I'm not going to learn a fucking thing from.
No.
But if it's the full VR experience and I'm wearing gloves and I've got my katana and I'm killing people with it or whatever,
Yeah. Which is not this at all.
I think I'll learn from that.
I don't know.
So how long is it going to take the guys at your local Ford dealership to hack the thing and then just be playing Skyrim on it while they're supposed to be training to how to fix the Mach E?
Not quickly enough.
Yeah.
Like, man, those guys are really into this training.
Yeah, we can't get them out of it. They stay after hours and just work on the sim all the time. I don't understand. They're playing iRacing.
Yeah. Well, I'm just looking at it.
They've got a high score board over there. I don't know how they're working on scores in the repair training, but
Found a way to score it.
Trying to figure out how to start the thing on fire and shit like that. What happens if I short out the battery? How quickly can I kill my imaginary virtual reality tech?
Well, I'm just thinking, like,
what
how
do these big orange wires do?
cut them. Well, I'm just curious how, like, they're going to simulate stuff that you won't be able to see. Because,
What do you mean?
like the starter behind your headers and your LS and your
I suppose a lot of mechanic work is
with both arms tucked behind a wrapped header, where you're going off a feel.
Yeah,
and you
or
can't see it.
Your hands are up above you, and you've got your head down, facing the floor, and you're working under a lift, and
Right.
just like, okay, here's that bolt. Now try and get the ratchet in there, and okay, now I'm on it.
Yep. I mean, I've never had a VR system that's accurate enough that you could even really like put your hand where you're like grabbing at shit, but you're not actually. You have to like overextend it and get your hand, like, even just like the video they're showing where the guy picks up the clipboard. The stuff that I've done, picking up the clipboard, it's just a pain in the ass. It's like, fuck it. It's just,
I want to try it. I've never gotten to try VR
and maybe
in any way.
And maybe this one is so much more advanced than anything I've ever been on, and it'll prove me wrong, and that's fine. I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Right.
But I've never been impressed with the VRs that I've seen.
Right.
Like using the goggles on a sim racing thing, very impressed with that. I think that's great.
Yeah.
But like the stuff that as soon as you get like the gloves and like and you're trying to like teach with it, I've never seen anything really effective.
Huh.
But hey,
stand by my
this could be the
stand by
future.
my assessment.
Yeah, I think that it could easily be that as much as anything.
Yep.
So, the U.S. Air Force has an IndyCar livery that is the best.
It is the best.
It's the best one.
I'm gonna try to stay non-political as best I can.
Yeah, that's my boy Connor Daly.
I just think it's a cool looking
It's
livery.
awesome.
It's super cool looking.
Well,
See, I followed Connor that's driving the car.
Robbie wants to say something.
I know.
but
I don't
can't.
want to be that guy.
It's fine. We'll leave it out of there. It's just cool looking. I like the
I've always liked the old bomber or fighter jet
The old-
with the teeth.
Yep.
I've always liked that.
I think it's cool looking.
Like even if they're fake rivets that are painted on, I like that. They look good. The color scheme's good,
IndyCar is not like the most exciting looking race car.
but it's not exciting.
No, but that
It's
really
an open wheel
makes
car, so
that
they're
really
cool.
makes it neat.
Yeah, these unique liveries. And
Yeah.
This is the first season of the aero screen.
Which I don't hate that much.
I don't hate it. I just feel like it was an afterthought on this car's design.
I've seen a bunch of people say that they like the Formula One.
I
Flip-flop
don't
better.
I don't get that one, but it's because if you look at this design, it's like the aero screen is a few inches wider than the rest of the car, so when it wraps around towards the back, it doesn't connect. I mean, so it's almost like the car was basically done. They're like, by the way, we're doing the aero screen. Okay, well it kind of fits.
They've technically been running that car since like 2012, I think.
Oh, this is
So-
the chassis hasn't really changed.
Yeah, it's.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's still they call it the DW12 after Dan Weldon got killed in Las Vegas in like 2011.
Okay,
And so they've been evolving it over time, but yeah, it wasn't built specifically for that aero screen to be added onto it.
that would make sense. Yeah, it just like the front looks fine, but just kind of when it attaches towards the rear, it's like we're missing a piece. It still looks fine. I mean, I'm not totally trashing it by any means.
I can see where that doesn't quite jive.
Yeah.
So,
I
you
think
see any of the other cars?
Not up as close as I looked at this one.
They're not as cool. A lot of them are kind of just like.
Well, this one
Blah.
came out of the gate swinging.
That's true. But like even some of the Formula One libraries are just kind of like, well,
This year's way better than last year.
you're absolutely right, but they're still kind of like, well, okay.
The what's the new?
That's an
not
orange
Toro
McLaren.
Rosso. What's the Toro Rosso team now?
Yeah, or
Alpha Tauri. That's not right.
Something
yeah,
like that.
AlphaTauri.
Anyways,
Something like that.
yeah, they're black and white livery. I don't know why, but it's so good.
Yeah.
I can't explain it
Yeah.
because it's just plain black and white colors, but it's just
It works though.
it's so good.
It looks kind of ominous.
yeah, and I love a field of cars that are all different colors.
Yeah, it makes it way
that's-
easier to
I don't want
identify.
to. Yeah, that too. But I don't want to see a field of like different shades of blues and greens, and
Or grays.
or grays and silvers. It's like, oh, we're all running the same colors this year.
Is that McLaren or
McLaren,
is that
yeah.
Mercedes?
Like
I can't tell because they're all the same color.
even if they all like use a shitload of colors and just have a bunch of bright liveries,
Yeah.
that just something so it's more attention grabbing,
Right.
Because like I like Toro Rosso's color schemes better than I liked Red Bull's, even though I'm a big fan of satin chrome.
Right.
But then you have the chrome, but they're basically the same colors.
I don't know that I like the chrome on the race cars.
I do. I like it as an accent piece,
Okay. But like
not the whole car.
a few years ago, that was like the color the car was,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really into that.
No, I like it as an accent.
I can see that. So, race car liveries are weird
And
because they can really make or break a car.
absolutely. And like just a tiny detail can totally ruin it too.
Yeah.
Like if this Connor Daly's United States Air Force livery, if this would have been executed not as good as it's executed on here, it would be a total train wreck.
Yeah.
It could be the same exact idea, just executed differently. It'd
Yeah.
be bad. But then it looks like this, and it's perfect.
It's so good. I love it so much. I think it's so rad.
The grays and the red and the black,
The teeth,
I like it a lot.
the wing is cool. I don't know what you want to call that, but it looks cool.
Yeah,
It's very bomber. I love it.
as it should be.
Does it have the picture of his driver's suit on there too?
No, it did not.
So it's made. It's green. It's made to look like a flight suit.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh yeah,
That's super rad.
You're not going to see it very well, but
That would be.
yeah, it is.
Look at that.
It just looks like a
Like an
a
old school
pilot
flight suit. That's
Yeah.
so rad. I like that though. I don't know that the U.S. Air Force is ever going to get a return on that investment, but I'm okay with it still.
That's where I was going to go, and I didn't want to.
I get that. I mean, we can say that without being political. I mean,
Are they running this all season?
He's doing, I think, like 12 races.
Jesus
So
Christ,
they sponsored him in the 500, I think, the last 2 years as just a one-off.
Yep.
And then at the end of last year, he picked up a couple of extra races with them, with Andretti. And then this year he picked up the bigger deal.
Wow.
So I don't really know anything about
for the
why.
majority of the season.
Why sell me on Connor Daly? So he's your boy. Sell me on him.
Yes. So I started following him several years ago. Him and Alexander Rossi, who's also in Indy now, were running in Europe, and they were in GP3, and then I think moved into GP2. So Connor was like kind of homegrown from the U.S. He came up through the Mazda series and then won his way into a ride in Europe and was able to advance up to GP2, and then kind of the funding dried up. So him and Rossi ended up back over here and have been, Rossi's won the 500 a couple of years ago and has done really well in Indy with Andretti. And it's been just kind of cool to watch them progress and have these, big hopes of, these guys might be our next, like our first legit American in Formula One for a really long time. And then, seeing them come back over here and then still, make their way in IndyCar really well and have some young Americans that are doing well in IndyCar, because that wasn't the case for a long time. And got to meet him at SEMA a couple of years ago. He's cool. He just has a cool social media presence overall and stuff, which sounds super cheesy, but it's a big part of what you have to do.
It's a big deal now.
Yeah, it makes or breaks a driver.
Yep.
Yeah.
From a fan perspective, and fans are what drive the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in the land of everybody that just gets to the end of the race and it was.
I want to thank Coca-Cola and Tide.
Yeah, great for the Coca-Cola, Tide, Snickers.
The team worked real hard. Yeah,
yeah. So
and then you got the Taylor brothers.
He comes across a lot more genuine than what a lot of guys do. So
That's good.
I've pulled for him for a long time. So
All right, we're sold.
Is it?
So you want to do a podcast?
Yeah, exactly. Is it sad that I just assumed he was American based on his name because it doesn't sound weird enough to be European?
So yeah, his dad is actually Derek Daly, that was a Scottish. He drove in Formula One and sports cars for a really long time too. So
Never heard of him.
Huh.
I don't follow old racing enough, I guess.
No.
I don't know. That sounds like an American name to me.
A little bit.
Connor Daly.
he
But
drives a
of
car
course-
with a bald eagle on the side of it at one point. So
Hell yeah, Merca. It's no willpower, but it's pretty. It's a pretty good.
Connor
race car
Daly's
name.
kind of a. It just seems like it'd be a race car name. It just fits.
See, it also kind of sounds like a news anchor.
That's because you're thinking of Carson Daly, and from MTV.
That's fair,
You're being persuaded with the celebrity status of that guy.
I suppose. But he could have been a race car driver or a newscaster.
Either way, he's famous, and he was destined to be famous.
I suppose he's doing better than we are.
That's for damn sure.
So
he's lining up to drive an Indy car. I think he's doing all right.
Yeah, that's the dream. So
Yeah.
it's working out.
yeah. So Robbie,
Yes.
there is a new, cheaper 4-cylinder Supra on its way.
So if you want to spend $40,000 on a 4-cylinder Supra, be my
BMW.
fucking guest.
It's funny.
That's a lot of money for a 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
But again,
Type R sell like hotcakes for that kind of money.
that's true. It's still crazy though, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I've kind of softened on the car overall. I still think it's over designed.
Have you seen one in person?
No, I have not.
You should see one in person.
I should. But like I said, I don't love that they're automatics. I don't love that they're overpriced, and I think they're a little over designed. But there's a lot of potential there.
So JB brought his,
Yes.
and ran it a little bit in Time Attack. I think he just kind of like, well, I'd rather focus on GLTC
Of
most of
course,
this weekend.
of course.
And but it also ran pace car laps.
I did see that.
But I got up kind of close and personal with it and was looking at it, and it's cool.
Well, it's a BMW
I like it.
in every way.
It doesn't look like a BMW.
Literally every piece of that car, besides the outside body panels, has a BMW logo on it.
Supposedly the
control arms,
supposedly
everything.
the Toyota badge on the front has a BMW part number.
Yes. That is a BMW through and through.
JB described it to me this way. He said, it drives and feels like a BMW.
Yes.
With just enough ricerness to it to be a Toyota.
I think that's
He
fair.
said he loves it.
I know he does.
He loves it. He was like, "Have you driven one?" I was like, "No."
No,
he's
dude.
like, "Well, swing by here later,
Yeah.
and I'll throw the keys to you." And I was like,
Okay.
"Okay," but I never had the chance
Never
to do
followed
it.
up
So,
on it.
but the roof
Yeah.
has like it has the bubbled spots over the driver and passenger,
Oh, yeah.
and it's like way more distinct bubble than I would have expected it to be looking at the pictures.
I guess you never see it from a shot that would show that.
Yeah, it's very race car-y.
Well, that's cool.
I did an image search for it, and the first like 30 pictures that come up are shot from the level of the headlights, so you can't see the shape of the roof at all.
You'd think they'd almost want to sell that, though.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I'm sending you a picture, Robbie.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to pull it up because the computer's so damn slow right
Oh,
now.
okay, I'll
It's
leave
not.
it
It's
then.
not even worth it.
I'll leave it then. But yeah, it's
But
a pretty. I bet it's 3 inches.
wow. Okay.
Dip.
That'd be nice though.
It's got a set of tits on the top
Why don't we just make the whole thing top, like the whole, just level, make
because
it all even?
the bubble is kind of race car-y.
Yeah, but you don't.
Because you're cutting down the frontal area with
Yeah, man.
with that dip in the middle.
It's all about that arrow.
All right, fair enough. I'm sold. You don't have to tell me.
I
That.
mean, clearly they works. Look how fast.
So I assume they don't come with
Look how fast Jackie went.
Yeah, because that's totally a Supra still.
It is a Supra. Is that Supra?
With all that arrow, that's a totally different car.
Dude, it was so funny being in or standing by JB's toter.
Yep.
Because he was like the first thing you hit when you were leaving the car show area and hitting the paddock.
Yep.
And if they came from the car show, they went straight to the Supra.
Of course.
And if they came from the paddock, they went straight to the RSX.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I would.
It
I would
was
expect
really
that.
interesting to watch people come around the corner and see those two cars parked next to each other like that.
Yep. But for 2021, the Supra is going to get a little bit more horsepower, so that you can get the $60,000 one still, and then the 4-cylinder, which will be $40,000. But what I'm finding really interesting is that the BMW in Europe that this is based on, I can't think of the name right now because it's not important to me.
I think it's a 2 Series. Oh, a Z4.
Sure. It's coming with a manual. So I'm betting that part's going to find its way over here to America, and it's going to get swapped out. Not from production.
JB says that transmission is great.
I know it is because it's fast and quick.
Yeah.
But I think enough people are going to want to swap them. That I think,
Somebody will swap it just to swap it.
yes. I think that BMW transmission swap will be a thing.
Yeah. So the 2021 6-cylinder
Yes.
apparently is a radically different engine.
Really?
Like I just assumed it was a tune, right? Like
That's how they described it.
like a couple PSI. No.
No, it's a whole different thing.
So like apparently if you own a 2020, nobody's going to make parts for them because moving forward, the 2021 and on is a completely different engine. It's different turbo, different intake manifold, different
I know the
head parts, different internal parts. Like it is a completely different engine.
I was talking to God, I can't think of his name right now. I was talking to him at the Mid-Iv convention. I want to say Josh. I think that's right. But he had been working on one for a customer, and
Yep.
he said the head and the exhaust manifold are all one of the same.
That's a very common thing now with turbo
Crazy.
cars.
That's crazy. I mean, it really limits
yes.
your aftermarket options.
That's how the V6 that's in Dalton's Camaro is that way. Honda makes a turbo motor that's that way.
Okay.
That's a thing.
I had not
Yes.
seen one.
Steph Papadakis that builds all of the drift cars for
Asbo and
Yeah.
the Toyota cars.
Frederick Osbo. He has a video series where he tears one completely down and they build it to make 1,000 horsepower, and it's really interesting seeing all of the internals on it, and they 3D print an intake for it and all this other stuff. It's really cool, and he does a really good job of presenting what makes the engine what it is.
I'll have to watch that because I'll nerd out over that like crazy.
Apparently AMS was working on developing a bunch of parts for the 2020 car, thinking that this was going to be what we had moving forward, like a water-to-air intercooler, intake manifold, and all this kind of crazy shit. And all of that's trash. It's all wasted development money.
Oh, that would suck.
Because it's going to be a 1-year car.
Yes. And it didn't sell a lot.
No.
And it sold.
The value of the ones that are out there kind of tanked.
Yeah.
Because now they're not. Now they're weird.
Because everyone's kicking and screaming because the better one's coming.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So.
Well then.
I will say, after having seen like 500 of them at SEMA, just sitting, seeing one actually just getting it run within an inch of its life on the track and Jackie's made me appreciate it a lot more.
I believe
Kicking
that.
ass and taking names.
Yeah, I don't question that at all.
I think you should see one.
I think if I could see one on track and in person.
Yeah, if you could just... they are very good-looking cars in person. So...
Okay. I'm down.
I 100% agree with your feelings about the value of the car.
Yes.
But I like it.
I get that.
As a car, because I'm not going to buy it anyway, I like it.
Okay. I think that's fair.
So...
I mean, on this image search, I got the production one on one side, and then right next to it is the concept car, and it's just really kind of, it's really depressing.
I think
so you see where I'm coming from, right?
I think that concept car was a Vision Gran Turismo car originally.
Yeah, or something like that.
Like that was one of the few cars that actually kind of made it out of being something out of that Gran Turismo Vision concept thing.
That sounds right. That's where it was.
It's in one of the Gran Turismo games. I remember driving it.
Yep.
5 maybe.
6.
6.
It would definitely be 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
7.
The FT1.
Yes,
No.
the FT1.
No, okay. Yeah, because it's 7. There's no 7.
Okay, then it was on 5.
Because it was a Gran Turismo Sport, and that was on PS4.
I didn't play 6 as much as I played 5. And I played a ton of 4.
I played a bunch of 5.
I played a bunch of 4 and a bunch of 5, and I didn't really like 6 that much.
Yeah, for some reason I couldn't get into 6. I think it was because I was so disappointed that it had the build your own track thing that never panned out.
Oh, I was so bummed. I bought that game for the express purpose of being able to do that.
Yeah, you could put GPS coordinates in and build your own tracks. Like we could have gone to Marshalltown, ran the little app that they had, upload the data, and it would build you a track.
Or I could build
and it
all
never
these,
panned out, and
all
it never
these
worked.
Fun roads that I want to drive, but I can't drive the way I want to drive them.
Yes.
Or I can't drive them because I live in Iowa and they're not in Iowa, as the case may be.
Right.
Like that was the sort of stuff I was looking forward to.
Yep. I mean, you can do that on a set of Corsa.
Building like cool hill climb
yeah.
courses that I dream of and stuff like that. It never panned out.
Damn it.
So.
Thanks a lot, PlayStation.
4-cylinder Supras, Robbie.
Drop the price. I'm way more on board.
It's not enough dropped, I'll bet.
40 grand. 40 grand? No,
Did
it's
they
not.
say that?
It's 40 grand.
Okay.
For the 4-cylinder.
Okay.
And it only makes 250 horsepower.
Yes. To the crank. But
yeah, I didn't think about that.
But they do turn them up, and they've proven that they tune well when they can tune them and break into those ECUs.
Is that a Toyota motor or a BMW motor?
It's a BMW motor.
Still a BMW motor?
Everything on that car is a BMW.
I didn't know if BMW or if Toyota was finally going to use one of their own engines or something.
No.
So
it'd be faster with the BMW anyways.
That's probably true.
Don't tell me I said that.
I'm not disagreeing. It's going to be less reliable, but it'll be faster. I guess which one do you want?
Faster.
Well, then go buy a Supra.
I'll just buy a BMW. I'm not buying either.
That's true.
Dusty, this has been fun.
I can't thank you enough for doing what you do for us every year there. So,
well, I enjoy the crap out of getting to do it. So
I appreciate that because I kind of sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, Dusty's just out there by himself. Like we're walking around, we're talking to people, we're doing what we want.
So you didn't even bring the recorder to do shows or nothing.
I meant to, and I forgot.
I understand.
And then when I drove,
so on the way to the barbecue place, I was like, "So did you bring the recorder?" And he was like, No!
That was a
I
whole
was
deal.
so mad about it,
I didn't
dude.
mean to open a wound.
Because we have plans. I don't want to talk about it yet on the show, but we have plans for using shows like that where
Yep.
we just kind of have buddy shows when we're going to do stuff, and I wanted to get a head start on that, and
Drop the ball, man.
Josh is just destined to never be on the show again.
Oh, he's coming on.
Yeah, but we've recorded 3 shows with him, and only one of them has been released.
That's right. He's our kryptonite.
Yeah. And this time I just didn't even bother.
Yeah.
So
I think you just executed what the industry terms as a tease
that's fair.
Yeah.
of what is to come.
Yeah.
The plan would be to do that in the future.
We're just going to leave that at that for now. I don't want to talk about it too much on the show, so
Yep.
in case it never materializes.
It should, though. We'll do something.
So, but yeah, I can't thank you enough for putting the time and the effort into it. And I'm guessing that by the time this show actually comes out, you wrote a college essay that we're going to put on Track Team as well.
Also, thank you for that.
I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do that. That's super awesome.
You sent it last night, and
That's
I sent it to myself so I could read it at work right when I got there, so I could have it on a computer screen.
Yeah.
And I was gonna be like, "Oh, here's a typo. Here's I'd change this." Nah, nothing. It was all good.
He rewrote
it
anyway.
but I was like, "Nah, it's all good. I would post it."
So Abe sent me a message. He goes, "I'm writing a GLTC article. You I didn't have any time to pay attention to time attack stuff, and you guys have all the raddest pictures, so you should write something." And I was like, "Man, I'm not good at writing, but I'll let Dusty know the options on the table. I'll think about it." And then I just screenshot that and sent it to him, and he was like, "Oh, that might be kind of fun." And next thing I know, he's like, "Well, I wrote this college essay."
1,000 words later.
All right, cool, thanks, man. You're the best.
As I told Robbie, every once in a while, the opportunity to write intersects with the
Desire.
Drive to do such.
desire to do it. Yeah. So
I can
Yeah, it was
promise you, without even asking, that if you wanted to write Optima articles and stuff like that, that Abe and Adam would be more than happy to host those things on Track Tuned.
It'd be a good place for him.
So
yeah, we should talk.
yeah, there you go. So
I'll
thanks again,
I'll
man.
have my people will contact their people.
There we go. That's exactly how that works. So
All right, perfect.
all right, let's shut her down.
We'll catch you guys next week.